What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bitch with Comrade Misty. I am, in fact, Comrade Misty. Today, I'm excited because we have my friend, fellow troublemaker on Twitter. He's like the king of blocks or something. Like people are always telling. We were just talking about this before the show. Everybody's got a blocked by Steve Cox story.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show, my friend. I'm very excited to bitch with you.
Hi, how's it going? It's nice to see you too. I love the name of the show because I think a lot of us here on our side of the spectrum do a lot of it.
Yes. Well, and I think it's necessary. And okay, so I do other shows, but there's never like a space to just like go off. I mean, when you're interviewing somebody, I mean, I do at times go off. But like, I really just wanted like a place where I could literally just bitch about like just dumb stuff if I wanted to, or just whatever was pissing me off. Like just whatever happens to come up that pisses me off for that day, for that week. Let's just bitch about it because it's like therapy. It's fun. It's so much fun. Seriously. And there is a lot to bitch about.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, the truth is if you're that type of person, you could always find something to bitch about. But I don't feel like that's what we're doing. You know, I think that
no.
You know, when I see people complaining about really minor nonsense, I'm just kind of like, you know, it's hard to keep stuff in perspective.
I think we're all guilty of it.
Sometimes, but yeah. I think a lot of people do it a lot, you know,
yes.
and like I try to just keep a perspective. Like I was on the phone or on a video call with a organization called the Good Party last week, and they were telling me about how they have this pledge. They were all about supporting independent candidates and trying to defeat the duopoly and everything. It's really cool. It's just like a media platform to expose the stuff that's run by like a guy that's made a lot of money doing other stuff like Instacart and things like that. And he anyway, I was on a video call with the guy, and he's like, you know, we have this pledge on here that we ask people to take. It's called a civility pledge and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, you were one of the first candidates we talked to when we were starting this up. But he goes, a couple of the people that we have in our organization brought up this tweet you had last year about wishing Donald Trump and Joe Biden both die of COVID. And I'm like, yeah. Like what?
Uh-huh.
You know, yeah, that's the thing.
And that's the only one you found? Like,
yeah, I know exactly
that you found. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no,
but I'm like,
civility. Fuck
but
civility.
I'm like, dude. So, and he's like, so, you know, I was defending you and all this stuff. And I said, look, I said, this is the thing. I said, tell them two things for me if you can, the people that have a problem with it. I said, number one, that started out as a joke. It was just a joke. Because when Trump got COVID, I just said like, because they had just had a debate, him and Biden, like a few days before. I'm like, what if Trump and Biden, like, what if Trump gave Biden COVID, and then because they're both elderly and everything else, what if they both died? I'm like, you know, COVID could end up saving the world. And I had like a GIF of Tracy Morgan going plot twist, right? I just thought it was funny.
It is funny.
But then like a conservative that used to follow me that I blocked at that point, speaking of blocks, was like, surely you don't think it's good for these people, like if these people died or whatever. And I'm like, no, I actually think our world would be better if both of them died or something like that. And then that opened up a whole thing where I was getting like doxxed and all this other stuff by all these conservatives, and you know,
crazy
people were threatening. Dude, one guy literally threatened to rape my 9-month-old daughter.
Having a normal one over there.
Yeah. So I was just like, all right, well, this is fun, you know, like
over politics, like
and over a joke. Like that's the worst part, is that it was a joke. Not that I don't actually, you know, many a truth is said in jest. Not that I don't actually believe that if those two men died before the election, that it'd be better for everybody, because it
couldn't be a lot worse.
No, but it was still just a joke. And, you know, it's one of those things, like there's no humor in politics. Like you're not allowed to joke about this stuff. And I can't not joke about stuff. Like that's just how I'm wired. So, you know, I get in trouble sometimes.
You have to. If you don't,
I feel
cry,
like
right?
Yeah, of course.
Humor. I mean, seriously, doing what we do, like being in the space that we're in, if you don't have that kind of sense of humor, it's a dark place. I mean, just the other day we did a 2-hour show on special administrative measures. I mean, that's like dark stuff
Yeah.
about, I mean, like legitimate isolation, solitary confinement within the federal prison system. It's unbelievably awful. And it's like, to talk about that for 2 hours is, I mean, it's draining. It's like really exhausting. So you have to be able to like find things to laugh about. You
Of
have
course.
to.
Of course.
I
And
mean, I would go
if you don't,
nuts.
it's not just that, like yeah, but it's not just if you laugh, you cry, but like I might actually lose my mind if I couldn't laugh at this stuff. Like because I'm actually a very sensitive guy in that stuff. Like, I've told this story before, but when I was like 6 or 7 years old, I think maybe 7 years old, my mom was picking me up from daycare in the wintertime. So it was like 5:30, but it was already dark. And I was walking out the driveway or the sidewalk or whatever out to go to the car, and stepped on a snail that I didn't see, and like felt it crunch under my foot. And I wailed all the way home. Like I just cried. And that's just how I always have been. It's just like this, a tenderness or a sensitivity about, that sort of stuff. And so when I see people getting hurt, I see people being mistreated, I see injustice, which, is everywhere all the time now, and I see that stuff. It really gets at me really bad. Like it eats.
Well, is
at
it
me.
kind of like you can, like, obviously you can't feel what that person is feeling, but it's like this level of empathy, I think,
Yes,
where
yes.
you can kind of, just the human experience, you can also kind of imagine that space. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why it makes me so mad when people are so like blasé about it, because when I see like our foreign policy or whatever, for example, and how like just completely out of touch people are with how vicious it is and cruel and murderous, and I mean, we're like the largest terrorist organization on planet Earth, and then I look at my own children and I realize how valuable life is, and it's hard for me not to think of my own children being targeted like that, or for, you know what I mean, like that's, to me, it's unimaginable.
I had I tweeted the pictures of this, but and I made the point on Twitter before, but I had an epiphany one night on Blue Dream. I had an epiphany, and I had this photo on my phone of my daughter sleeping in her crib, all on her side. Yeah. And, I also have these like really awful pictures on my phone that I use as sort of motivation when I have to do political stuff, because I don't make any money doing this. I'm trying to make a difference and trying to, move a needle and get into office so that I can actually, put up a fight. But like I'm not getting any money. So it's like sometimes I lack motivation. It's just kind of like, I got all this work I got to do now. It's a pain in the ass. And so I have these like really awful photos of children that were killed in different airstrikes from, US and allied airstrikes in the Middle East. And I look at those as motivation. Like I legitimately like go to that folder on my phone and like just look at them, and like it's not just about me. Like I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing this for, to try and change some really awful shit. And so I had those photos, and I just had this epiphany that like looking at this photo of my daughter, that's the same as this other photo. Like they looked identical in age and size, and the position they were laying in and all this stuff. And I just lost it. Like because I don't even know what I would do. I don't know. Like if something happened to my kid, I may not be here long. You know what I mean? Like, right? It's just not, my wife and I tried so hard to have kids for so long, and then to finally have this wonderful, perfect little girl.
And she is the cutest little nugget.
Oh, she's the best.
She's seriously the cutest little. Like now she has little curls.
So yeah, cute. It really is cute. So I hope they stay. But like she's just so perfect, and I'm her biggest fan by far, and I can't. I was so terrified when she was on her way here. I was completely terrified.
It is terrifying.
I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea if she'd be healthy. My wife was 40 when she was born, and there's just all this stuff, and the doctors make you feel crazy because or they make you crazy because they're like, well, she's advanced maternal age, so they're like measuring her Daphne's femur and utero, and they're like, well, her femur's a little short for this thing, and like, so you should go to a specialist. And of course, our insurance is bullshit, so
Right.
it's all out of pocket for like the first $10,000 or $11,000 a year.
Welcome to America.
and so I'm trying not to do that stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this kid. But some stuff I was kind of like, well, what can they even do, right? Like, if
Right.
at this point. So, but there's like all this stuff, and so she's just so perfect. And we went through so much stress and so much anxiety and everything else, and for her to come out and just be this perfect little person. If I were to lose that, yeah, I'm probably gone. I'm probably out of here.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I just have no reason.
And it's really bizarre to me that we, like, human beings can't come to terms with that and like recognize that. And I think it's really because, and I've talked about this a gazillion times, but we don't they learned since Vietnam not to show legit war,
Yeah, because you don't want to upset people who might ask us to stop
Everybody's
doing that.
so disconnected from it. You don't get to see it.
Yeah.
And so it's this very like abstract concept, like, oh yeah. I mean, you have like news anchors like just drooling over the fact that we just launched some bombs somewhere.
Yeah,
oh, they're beautiful. They're
practically
beautiful.
jizzing in their drawers. Like,
yes.
oh, look at these missiles.
But you never see where those missiles land. You never get to see the destruction that it causes. You never get to see the blown up babies, and and
they're also doing that on social media too. They block the images and stuff like that. It's bullshit.
They suspend you, ban you, whatever, for posting them, or they make you take
really
them down,
bullshit.
or whatever it is.
Because people need to see that stuff. Like that, that's a thing that this gets to Assange, which I know is a big thing for you.
You're gonna get me started.
But I mean, the thing that I've said to you a million times on shows on Twitter, or whatever, is that which can be destroyed by the truth should be, right?
Yes.
And I wholeheartely believe that. And I haven't found any exceptions to that yet. I haven't found any, but when you have this awful stuff happening, like we can't even pretend to have a democracy here if the people who are voting don't know what the hell our government's actually doing.
Julian Assange, Julian Assange has said something in order to, I'm butchering this, I should look it up so I'm not like butchering it, but something like, if you can't make a decision without the truth, you have to start with the truth.
That's right.
So you can't make informed decisions as a society to better,
which is why I don't try and mask who I am as a candidate. It's why I don't try and play games with like, oh, I shouldn't say this thing, or I shouldn't say that thing, or I put like 30,000 words in policy and philosophy, all source for data, everything on my website. Most politicians on their websites, they have like a couple small things, if anything, like in terms of policy stuff. But my point is it's not just about trying to win an office. It's trying to change how the voters view their role in this system. Because their role is supposed to be the driver. They're supposed to be the bus driver, if you will, or the captain of the ship. They're supposed to be steering it, this system, with their vote. But if they don't, they're blindfolded essentially. So if they don't know where they're going, you can't trust them to drive. Right. So
no kidding. Well, not only that, we don't even have like fair election systems.
Of course.
So, so not only are they don't know that, they don't have the truth, they don't have the facts, they don't have all the information, but then they also don't have a fair system in which to participate in order to have their voices heard. And, which I mean, it's and to me, it's crazy that I feel like I'm on like a tangent about this over the past couple of weeks, but it's really weird to me that this is just acceptable. Like that we've just allowed ourselves to like normalize this, and this is just the best we can do, and we're just going to continue to get fucked over hardcore.
You guys want to move to China or whatever? You want to move to?
I mean, seriously,
if you don't have it, leave it.
It's the year 2021 in the United States of America, in the middle of a pandemic, and we can't even get a floor vote on Medicare for all, which is like the compromise to begin with. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And it's normalized. Like we just accept this, like, okay, yeah, this is the best we can do. And we accept the fact that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who ran on going after the Democratic establishment, now only talks about how terrible Republicans are, doesn't do anything to hold her own party accountable, and is completely corrupted.
You got to be nice about it though, because Mama
And
Bear is
that's
like
violence.
a really sweet person, and using these expletives and things is just, that is violence. It's literally violence. She fought in war, you know, like she was.
She
It's like
is a veteran. I should
war. Yeah,
respect.
she's a
I should
veteran.
support my troops. You're
So
right.
so
I'm so
you're
rude.
you really are. You
I'm
really
out of
should check
bounds.
yourself.
I should.
You really
I
should
should.
check yourself.
Yes.
She is a wonderful person who only cares about other people, you know,
Right. I
like
should do an
that's,
Instagram live to apologize while making pasta.
yes, absolutely.
I should do
And
that.
maybe mix a cocktail or something, because
Yeah.
that was your
Former
old job or
bartender. We
whatever.
got that in common,
You got to
girl.
throw that in, right?
Yeah.
You got to show how you're a regular person, like, you know, like Elizabeth Warren with her beer, like, hey, I'm going to
Oh
have
my
a beer.
God.
Like, oh, okay.
We need to stop for just a second and talk about that, because there were a lot of those moments that they could just kind of like skated by, like these weird moments where politicians tried to make themselves look human, and they were so awful and awkward and just not human. And no, we didn't really talk about it because things are so genuinely fucked up that's like a blip on the radar. But like Elizabeth Warren drinking her beer, and then there's like Beto O'Rourke skateboarding, and then there's just
Elizabeth Warren at the Pride Parade with that big
yes, Kamala
rainbow
Harris with
boa.
her jacket, that like sequins jacket, the rainbow thing. Which I mean, I kind of like the jacket. Honestly, it was pretty. Like it was like very cool. Just for like.
Well, I mean, yeah, she has a lot of money. I'm sure she has lots of nice clothes.
But seriously, though, like it's painful. I get that it's very scripted and everything, but they get a better acting coach maybe or something, because to me it's just painfully obvious. Like I know a lot of people fall for this shit.
Why though? That's the thing I don't get.
Know.
It's like, if somebody told me to go dance with an elderly group like in the city and they're gonna film it and whatever, like Andrew Yang did, I would fire that person if they worked for me. I would just be like,
so
what?
Stupid. Stop doing
this is
that.
the dumbest. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do that. Because I feel like it's patronizing too. Like, it's not just about the actual act or whatever, but it's this pandering, it's almost disrespectful. I feel like,
yes.
to the voters and to the, like, you should be treated as you should treat them as serious people, and that doesn't mean you can't make jokes or whatever, but this performative,
Yes, because everything's performative.
Yeah.
And what's really frustrating is that these people don't really hold any legitimate positions. They kind of just go with whatever's poll tested and committee approved.
Right. Which gets to a big point here. And this is the other thing that I told the guy at the Good Party, and I'm trying to get people to understand, is like, I'm not the nicest guy, right? I'm a sensitive guy, whatever, but I'm not a nice guy. Like, I don't allow people to walk on me. I don't allow people to treat me in a way that I wouldn't treat them. I don't allow it. Like, I just won't. And so that's where a lot of people get blocked, is because there's the passive aggressive phrasing of certain things, the way they say stuff, the way that they won't shut up if you more or less tell them, like, look, this is what I stand for. This is what I want to do, whatever. And then they just keep going and keep going and keep going. And it's just like, you know what, dude, sea lions, right? So like, oh, but what do you think about this? It's just like, get out of here, man. I'm done. Like it's funny because I have so much more patience for people in the real world since the pandemic started, like when I'm at the grocery store and stuff like that. But online, I have way less, way less patience than before. But where I'm going with this is that the thing about politicians is they're almost entirely narcissists. The ones that win are narcissists. So
100%.
They only care about, like, their own value for themselves comes from what other people think of them, from getting praise from other people. I'm not wired that way. So I'm not a narcissist. I don't know what the hell my problem is. I've got plenty, I'm sure, but it's not narcissism. But I get my value from inside myself, that's how I view things, but they get it from everybody else. And when you're that type of a person and you stand in front of a group of voters or whatever, you're going to say or do whatever it is that you think they're going to like, because you're seeking their approval, primarily because that's how you're wired. You're a narcissist. You want approval. So you're like, okay, so you do that. And then what happens is they go to Washington, D.C., and then they're seeking their approval. They're seeking the approval of the people that they were supposed to be fighting against for us. That's what happens. They're
calling Nancy Pelosi like Auntie Nancy and Mama Bear. are you kidding me? I think, can we just talk about the fact that I think that a lot of people have amnesia about like the origins of the squad. The whole fucking point was for them to fight the Democratic establishment. A lot of you seem to forget that.
Yeah.
That's what they talked about. That's what they ran on. They like were birthed from the Bernie movement that had just gotten royally screwed over. And this was supposed to be the answer to that. We're going to combat the corruption in the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders said it a million times. We're going to transform the Democratic Party.
And then
reform the Democratic Party.
The one member of the squad that I had hope still for was Rashida Tlaib. And for that funding of the DC police, she abstained from the vote to make sure that it passed.
Yeah. See, here's my theory, my conspiracy theory, if you will. I feel like they're each given their issue or I hate the word issue. Jesse hates the word issue. My co-host on Facts on the Ground. I hate that word. But you know what I mean? Like they're each given their cause or whatever it is that they're allowed to like be a little bit out of the box on, or they're allowed to like speak out a little bit on. And so it's the rotating villain thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know what I'm saying? Like they each have their own particular thing that they're allowed to hold out on, and it's
also
all very calculated so that things pass or fail the way that they want them to.
That's right. But also it's about the like whose districts lean which way on which issue. So what's going to damage one more or less than the other ones, so it's all a calculated decision making process. Like Kirsten Gillibrand missing that vote yesterday or the day before or whatever, or Bernie Sanders missing the vote to end the surveillance state last year.
It's all very convenient.
And that was when I finally completely gave up on Bernie, and just I consider him to be a part of the problem, just like everybody
100%.
And a lot of my followers really don't like that, because they still have faith in the guy. But you should not have faith in politicians, myself or anybody. I've said this a million times, but trust in anybody seeking or in any position of power, police officers, clergy, teachers, whatever, right? Politicians, obviously, anybody in a position of power like that or seeking a position of power like that, you should
side eye the shit out of them
all the time.
It
should be really, really, really hard for them to earn your trust. And if they do manage to do that, they should be able to lose that trust on a whim. Like one little thing, it should go, because that's the only way this sort of a system could function. But we end up in this cult of personality where everybody, some of the people that I've blocked on Twitter are people that were talking about like AOC, and then I'd see deep in threads where they're talking back and forth, because I'll read stuff and not comment, but just kind of like see what these people are about. Yeah. And you'll see him talking about like, but she's so hot. Like, oh my God. Can you like imagine those boobs or whatever? Like they see like disgusting shit. And I'm just like, so you got all these white knights that are out there, defending people like AOC because she's hot, and she's beautiful, but like she's an asshole. So I don't really care how pretty
there's
she
a lot
is.
of surface level thinkers who don't look past the performance art. They don't look at like a lot of these Bernie Sanders supporters are a crystal clear example of this. They know about his vote against the Iraq War. They know about the fact that he was at a protest and got arrested and was chained to a black woman, because that's like a kind of a meme. They know about,
which is great, by the way. Like that stuff's great.
Yeah, like he's done some stuff. And I'm not like taking away from that. But they don't know about his voting record at all. They don't know about the fact that he had anti-war protesters arrested. They don't know about the fact that he has voted to fund the F-35, which has been an unbelievable waste of money for the longest time.
But his state benefits from that, because a lot of
his supporters don't know any of this stuff. They just know the surface level, like the mythology that he's created around himself.
Right.
And they don't look any deeper. And that's
I honestly, as an independent, I hate that he still calls himself an independent in the Senate, because there's no part of him that's independent anymore. Like I think there was 30 years ago.
Not since the 90s.
Like in the early 90s, like maybe 92, 90, I don't know what it was, 90, 91. It must have been 90, because it was like leading up to the first Iraq, the Desert Storm thing. Yeah. He has this speech that I have on my phone that I really love, where he's like berating both parties. It's like, I know you Democrats and Republicans want another war, but you're not going to get it.
He's great at a speech, man.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I was like, that guy was a badass. I like that guy. Whoever this guy is, That's not that guy. Like this guy, I don't know if it's age, I don't know if it's comfort, I don't know what the story is, but that's not that guy. Like those are different people.
Right.
You know?
No, and it's unfortunate, but that's 100% true. And I mean, people get mad at me because I criticize Bernie. Y'all, I wish I was wrong about Bernie. I supported him in
me
2016.
Me too.
I mean, I voted for him in 2016. I donated to him in 2016. I went to a rally. I went and canvassed. I went and I phone banked. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I was cautiously supportive of Bernie Sanders in 2016. And he fucked a lot of people over. And I'm sorry, like I'm this whole myth that he's like this nice guy. He's not a nice guy. Nice guys don't do what he did.
No.
I mean, he took millions of dollars from
hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
Not millions.
Yes.
In his 2 campaigns for presidency, he brought in like almost $450 million.
Yes. And think about
it like this. That is at $2 million a seat. That is 200 and I did calculate it's like almost 220 House seats that could have been flipped or put the right people in those seats, which would have made a much bigger difference than just one guy in the goddamn White House, especially when he's such a pushover like that.
Yeah, well, so that's what pisses me off. Is like 2016, he fucked everybody over, and then he like gaslit and sheepdogged everybody again. And what pisses me off even more about 2020 is that it was clear that he was not in it for winning at all. As soon as
they organized against him, he was going on Jimmy Kimmel or wherever on these different
Joe Biden's my friend.
Yeah, he's my good friend and he's a decent man and he can beat Trump. And
this
I'm like,
is how you know
what
Bernie
are you
Sanders
doing, you
not a good
stupid
person.
asshole? Like,
that
what
right
are you
there
doing?
Is how you know
he's
not a good person.
Number one, Joe Biden's not a good person.
No,
he's a rapist.
He's a rapist.
He's credibly accused rapist. Mm-hmm. He's never met a war he didn't like. He's been trying to cut social services for elderly and whatever, like Medicare and Social Security and everything for decades. He's been trying to do that. And I'm like, what do you mean a decent man? Like a decent person? No. Like that's not a fucking decent person.
He hung out with segregationists. Like, I mean,
he gave the eulogy at Strom Thurmond's. It's not even like
he's my good friend, Bernie Sanders.
It's not even like, oh, I know a guy who's a racist, because we all know people who are racist, right? And you could be friends with people who are racist, like friendly anyway. Like you could be like, hey buddy, how's it going? Whatever, but you can't be so close to them that you'd be asked to give the eulogy at his funeral.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Like that is full on like Jim Crow type of behavior.
They don't call him Jim Crow Joe for nothing.
I know.
I mean, he earned the nickname, fams. I mean, this is what pisses me off.
And Bernie Sanders knows all that shit. He has to know all that shit.
He's not an idiot. Because people will try to make that excuse. Like, oh, well, he's just a nice guy and he thinks everybody's good. No, he's not a fucking idiot. He's been in politics for 50 fucking years. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows exactly the game that's being played. He knows exactly his role in it. He's not an idiot. He's a very intelligent man.
So we all need to learn. We all need to learn to kill our heroes, figuratively speaking.
Yes, don't have any to begin with ever. Just
I mean, I'm okay with having heroes, but they should be on a pretty unsteady pedestal. You know what I mean? Like I think that having a hero, looking up to somebody and being inspired by something. I think you can look up to
somebody without elevating them to hero status.
Well, you know what I mean. Like whatever synonym you want to use.
Right.
I'm just saying, like. If we're dealing in a world where lies are considered truth, where they punish people who tell the truth, but not the people they tell the truth about. I mean, did you see the stuff about the IRS recently? Like the stuff that got leaked that showed that like billionaires are paying nothing. And now the IRS is investigating the leak. But not the fact that the billionaires aren't paying any taxes, right? Like Jesus Christ! So this is this obfuscation that we're living through, and people who exist in that world, it's pretty foolish to treat them with kid gloves or to try and give them the benefit of the doubt at any point. That's not smart.
No, and the fact that the only people who are ever punished are the truth tellers, the people who expose. I mean, John Kiriakou, he exposed a torture program, and the only person that was punished was John Kiriakou.
Yeah,
Chelsea
isn't that great?
Manning, yeah, Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange exposed war crimes.
Daniel Hale,
Joshua Schultz,
Snowden's still stuck wherever he's
Snowden. Yeah, the laundry list just goes on and and on. And it's always the case that we punish our truth tellers, and literal war criminals are like elevated to, like they go on Ellen, and they write.
But Misty, honestly, isn't it cute when you see George W. Bush handing a little candy over to Michelle Obama? And
it's
they
always
share a
nice
little candy
when the families of war criminals can come together.
I love it
and bond.
So my former church, I've been an atheist my whole life. I've never believed in any higher power, but I've always been very curious about it, and I've read the Bible twice, and I've always marveled at how different Christians are from Christ in the Bible. Are you there?
Yeah, there she is. She's back.
Oh, okay. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. No, it's weird. Everything dropped out for a second. But no, so I've always marveled about how different Christ is from Christians, because the stuff that I see Christians advocating for, I can't imagine the guy in the Bible doing that.
Right.
So I found when I was running for office in 2018, the first time I found a church that called itself a progressive church. And when I went there, they had all these songs. Like, they invited me on a gun violence awareness weekend, and I'm a pro-gun guy, but I'm like, I'm also against gun violence, right? So, like, I'll go.
Right.
And so that all the people were talking about, like the first songs that came up were very inclusive. That everybody sings these songs, and I love the message in the songs, and I'm like, I like this place, and I ended up going for a few weeks myself, and then I ended up bringing my parents because my dad's been looking for a church, and he always ends up at these right-wing, crazy churches, and it causes us all kinds of internal problems in our family. So, he comes to me and is like, "Did you know they're teaching Islam in public schools?" And I'm like, "It's called social studies, Dad. It's a normal thing." So it's problematic. But anyway, I got my parents coming, my wife's going. Like, it was really a wonderful experience. We were able to do a lot of charity work and things like that through the church, and delivering meals for disadvantaged people, and a bunch of cool stuff that we really enjoyed. And then when I was coming up to run in 2020, I asked the congregation, who I had done a ton of stuff for these people. I have a lot of free time. And I had done a ton of stuff in my off time to I refinished a 25-foot cross in front of the church that badly needed to be redone because it was starting to rust and come apart. I, fixed all kinds of stuff around the place because I'm a pretty decent handyman. Like, I was, and the congregation is pretty elderly, so they're not very capable of doing all this stuff. So I was really happy to do it, and I felt really warm and fuzzy about all of it. But when I asked them all to show up to my thing, that I had to beg one of them basically to host a little town hall. I made it clear I wasn't going to ask for any money. I just wanted to explain to them what I'm doing, because at that time a Democrat was in office there, and a lot of these people seemed very partisan in how they behaved. But in the end, 8 of them showed up. 8 showed up to my thing, and I was offended, and I left the church. I was like, screw you guys. But I was still Facebook friends with a bunch of them. And a little while back, that ended for most of them, because one of the prominent members of the church, it was actually during the pandemic about a year ago. They're like, isn't it great that Barack Obama is giving the whatever that speech is called at the for graduation for online. So my child is graduating high school, and now they get to watch Barack Obama give a speech about it. That's so great. And I just replied, I'm like, I don't know. I think maybe having a war criminal giving the address, the commencement speech at my kid's high school, I'm not sure I would really be pumped about it.
Oh, and it's so disturbing that these are the people that we elevate.
And they call themselves progressives, this church, right? And dude, they lashed out at me so hard, like, how dare you say this, and I'm just like, I'm pulling up links like Amnesty International, like all these different links of all this problematic shit. And they're just like, it doesn't matter. We're just trying to, have some good times and enjoy some stuff. And you come in here and I'm like, what? And told you the truth? I'm sorry.
Whoopsie-daisy.
I'm sorry. I told you the truth. I can't believe it. What an asshole. I can't believe anybody would do that. And so, now I'm not Facebook friends with Lady Emma, but it's like, again, though, like, what's his name for Rules for Radicals? Saul Alinsky, he said, like, we have to, I'm paraphrasing, but we have to deal with the world as it is, not as we wish it were.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's the first step toward doing anything, changing anything, is understanding exactly what is and isn't.
Right.
And then dealing with what is. That is the reality of it. And I think what a lot of people think isn't. And that has to do with our media and a lot of the other stuff.
Schools.
In schools, I mean, yeah, I have to break this down. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my daughter. I might homeschool her. I honestly don't even know because
as a parent, it's terrifying. Seriously, it's a lot to take in right now.
I mean, just the Pledge of Allegiance by itself.
I know.
You're asking children to pledge their allegiance to the federal government of the United States.
Yeah, of which
and I point this out to people.
They don't have the capacity to.
Right, I know, but they're still doing it, right? So it's like this.
It's fucking weird. It's weird.
And I've tried to explain this to people because people are like, "What? No, it's the flag," and I'm like, "And to the republic for which it stands."
Yeah.
That's again, the federal government.
Flag. It's a piece of cloth.
Yeah, but it's the federal government. You're saying,
I know.
Like, that's so backward. The fucking government should be pledging allegiance to us.
Yes.
That's not the way it's supposed to work. It's not supposed to be us pledging our allegiance to their stupid asses. Like, that's not how this is supposed to work. So I don't even, like, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do, because I want to be like, whether I'm in office or I'm doing a different job or whatever, my regular job, I'm going to need to have time to actually go to work and do the things that I need to get done. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know what to do about this, man. It's really scary.
It is, seriously. And it's only gotten worse. And this is why I talk about narrative control and like it is so pervasive. Seriously, it's a constant, it's a barrage constantly all day long. You are getting hit from birth. You are getting hit in the face with constant propaganda all the time. Misinformation, disinformation, lies, gaslighting, smears. I mean, you name it. It's really bad. Like Steve Poikonen says all the time that we are the most propagandized country on earth. And he's absolutely right. There's no question about it. People will be like, oh, but what about like North Korea or whatever? I mean, are you kidding me right now?
Hey, I got a visitor. You want to see?
Oh, yes. Yes, because I bet I know who it is.
Sorry to cut you off.
Daphne.
Yeah, I'm going to pull my headphones out.
Yeah. She's Daphne. Hi.
Hi, sweetheart. Say hi.
Hi.
Say hi. Wave.
How are you?
Say hi.
You're so cute. Hi. I like your bow. Very
Isn't she the cutest little damn thing in the whole world?
Yeah, she is really cute. How old is she now? Like just a little over a year, right?
She's almost 18 months. She's like 17 and a half months. So it's almost a year and a half.
Oh my God. Doesn't it go so fast? I know that's so cliche, but it does go so fast.
I know it does. Look at this. Watch. Daphne, she might make me look like a fool, but Daphne, where's your belly?
Yeah. Way to go. Where's your nose? Do you know where your nose is?
She's got her dad's figure.
Oh, yeah.
Right now.
She's so cute.
Hey, I love you. Mwah. You going to go? Go back with mom?
I think we know who the star in this family is.
Yeah, she's the best thing.
Yeah, she's so cute. I love when you post videos of her.
Yeah, I told my wife to bring her in when she was up from her nap because I was like, Misty really likes Daphne.
I love her. She's so cute. I love little kids, and like especially her age, like the toddler-ish age, like up to maybe like 3 or 4 is really special because they're legit little sponges, and it's so fast, and they're taking in so much, and you get to witness all of these experiences and life changes, and you can see like their base of knowledge growing and their vocabulary growing, and it's just like super magical to watch.
It's the coolest damn thing I've ever seen, and even funnier than that to me, I'm going to turn off my phone ringer. Is that like she has my eyebrows, which they're my mom's eyebrows. She calls them the Karn eyebrows because that's her maiden name. But like the ability to like this, and like if you're mad, they kind of do this, So like My face is super easy to read. Like it's not easy for me to lie, and so I tend not to. but Daphne has the same expressive face.
Her facial expressions are amazing. I've
Oh
told
my
you,
God.
we've talked about this. She has some of the best, like little, I don't even like kind of like snarky, like
Yeah.
side eyes that she throws.
Oh, she
so
full
good.
on throws side eyes too.
Yeah, and
like
I love
full on
it.
will sit there like this, like.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it.
It's the best. I don't know what I'm going to do about her either, because I can't even imagine disciplining her. I don't even know how I would do that. Like, you know what I mean?
Trouble, homie.
I'm in real trouble. I really am. I'm going to need help because I'm just like, she's just so fun. And I just enjoy it so much. I enjoy being around her. And, most of the time, 99% of the time.
Yeah. No, there are times.
I mean, she throws her food on the floor and I'm just like, okay.
Well, listen, nobody's perfect. Like no kid is one of my favorite things in society that I think we need to address, and this is kind of like a weird tangent to go off on, but we expect kids to like behave as adults. Like they're not allowed to have bad days, or not like even better than adults. They're not like if they act out or have bad days, like it's like a thing that we punish. And that's weird to me. Like, if your toddler's throwing a tantrum, there's a reason. And it's not like they're just doing it to be a dick. It's just everybody has a bad day. They communicate their bad days differently. And not that I'm perfect and I haven't been annoyed or whatever, but just like trying to maintain a level of patience with a child, which is weird because I am not a patient person, but with my own children, I was extremely patient and still am, but I mean, they're older now, so it's different. But yeah, like it's just weird that we expect little kids to be able to manage their emotions. And it's really like, they're throwing a tantrum. They're 2 and they're tired and their shoes tied too tight and they don't know how to tell you. And they're a little bit hungry, but their stomach hurts. It's like, and they don't have the vocabulary or the skills to make that known or to know what to do to make themselves better or whatever. It's just weird. It's a weird thing.
It is. And she wants to talk so bad. Like she's trying so hard. And she's like, sometimes she'll look at me with like this exasperated look on her face. She's like, like this, and she'll just start pointing at stuff. And I'm like,
can you imagine how frustrating that is?
Oh, it's got to
know what you need.
She can understand everything. Like almost everything I tell her at this point. She understands it. Like I could tell her, and I do it just to test her. But like the other day, we have like the 3 trash cans in our house: the green one for green stuff, a gray one for recyclables, and a black one for trash. And so we were taking some plant material to the thing, and we try to include her so she helps, whatever, just hand her some stuff to carry. And I'm like, okay, take it to the green trash can. And you see her like stop and kind of look at them. And then she goes right to the green one. Yeah. So like she gets it. She understands stuff, most things that you say, but she can't talk that much yet. She only has probably a dozen words and, and they're pretty, situational. Like she can say teeth to brush her teeth. She says teeth, stuff like that. And so it, you have to be kind of a mind reader. And sometimes I sit there, sometimes I wonder if I'm actually doing a disservice by reading her mind the way that I can, because I feel like she needs to talk more and try harder to be expressive. But I mean, this is, I always felt like before we had kids, I always felt like I understood the elements, like the base elements of what it is to be a parent and to and the things that I would like to do with a child when we had one or anything like that. But man, I'm 44 years old. I was 43 when she was born, or 42, but almost 43. And I'm still completely lost about most of this shit. I just try and roll with it and see what happens. But like that, it's really hard.
It is.
It's really hard.
I mean, I have a whole new level of respect for like my own mother now, because
me too.
I always thought that like she just knew everything and she had all the answers and everything was fine. And like I realize now that like you never have all the answers and you're just doing the best that you can.
We're all winging it. We're all trying to survive.
Like I still can't believe that, honestly, like I'm a grown up. Like I'm considered a grown up and I have children. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. Like that's
I've had this conversation with my mom where like, because up until recently, I looked pretty much like I did when I was in my 20s or whatever. Like I wasn't like, I think having a kid changed that. I think I've started aging a lot quicker.
It will age you the first year, especially.
But my mom said to me, she's like, yeah, because we were talking about this, and she said, because she's 70 something, 71, and she said that like she looks in the mirror and it doesn't look like her now, right? Like she looks like she doesn't recognize that person physically. She's still in her head feels like she's 28 or something,
right?
And I'm like, yeah, like emotionally, I'm probably 15. I don't know. The stuff I think is funny and whatever. And so like, fart jokes make me laugh. Like,
okay,
so
but listen, fart jokes will always be funny. And anybody that tries to pretend like they're not funny is fucking lying. Yeah. You're lying. Stop it. Farts are funny. Get over it.
Well, yeah. It's like, yeah, you can just laugh at farts. I feel like that's okay to do as a society. Yeah. I would green light that law. We could put that into law.
Yeah, farts are funny. Just deal with it.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though. So like, I think that's just part of the human experience, right? Is you whatever age you are in your head, and you got to deal with not being that age, right? Eventually, there's still times when I think that I can do stuff physically that I could do when I was in my 20s or late teens, and reality is pervasive. Like it'll tell you pretty quick the stuff you can and can't do. Like and it'll make you pay attention, as it turns out. Like you can't even really fake it, because like I was a motocross racer for a long time, and I still ride motocross, but like not competitively. I don't race anymore. But like every now and then I'm like, I could still do this thing or that thing, whatever it is. And then I'm like out on the track and I'm like, well, this isn't working out like I thought it was going to work out. It's just like, there's something happens. I don't know what it is. But here's the thing that's normal. So up until like, it seems like 6 months ago, I don't know when this started, but up until it seems very recently, if I were to drop a thing like a glass or anything like that, I would almost always either catch it again before I hit the ground, or I could get my foot under it or something to keep it from like crashing to the ground. Like there was a quickness, to how I could move. And over the last 6 months, like I've been dropping shit all over the place. It just breaks, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably how it works, though. It like probably happens or at least it seems like it happens very suddenly. Like all of a sudden you can't do a thing, or like all of a sudden you can't see, which I can't see for shit now. But
I still have perfect vision, so it'll mess with you.
I've never had perfect vision.
Oh yes, I used to have like 20/10 visions, like what they call the eagle eye vision, where I could see at 20 feet what 20/20 people could see at 10 feet.
Yeah,
and so now I'm 20/20. But like, it's going that way. Like it's, it's not as good as it used to be, but it's still as good as anybody, normally.
But I feel like that's how it happens, though. Like very quick. Like, oh, I can't do this thing anymore that I used to be able to do.
Yeah. I've actually started to address mine by racing, car racing simulations on like Xbox or whatever.
Yeah.
Having a steering wheel and whatever, but like doing like rally games and stuff. But I noticed that like some of my quickness has come back, like reaction times to things has started to come back. I think they call that neuroplasticity, like the ability to,
Well, I mean, obviously the more your brain, I mean, it's kind of like a muscle. The more you work it, the more you, and your body's the same way. And if you just, continue to do stuff, like just keep things moving, I mean, you're still going to get old. Like it's still going to suck. And you know what I mean? Like getting old is not fun for anybody.
No, it sucks.
It sucks. But if you, and I mean, I am not saying this as like somebody who's great at this. But I think that that's like something we should all try to work towards is, trying to keep ourselves moving and our brains moving. Cause I think that's,
ideally,
I mean, it really does help. So, but I don't know.
So what are we going to bitch about now? We're talking about.
I feel like we haven't even bitched really. This has been like very philosophical and like deep, and we've been talking about like parenthood and life. I know, like every time I talk to you. But although that's not true though, because you're a ranter. Like you're just. Like
I rant for sure.
We just haven't. I think we like got off on like kids and stuff.
Yeah, because my stupid daughter showed up. Like,
geez, Daphne.
Like, it's her fault, really.
Yeah.
It's all her fault.
I'm blaming her.
I've tweeted about this, but I blamed a fart on her the other night.
You're not a parent until you do that.
Yeah, but it worked. I actually was able to do it. Like,
yeah, 100%.
So
it's so easy,
really
especially when they can't talk yet. Because they can't be like, no, it wasn't.
I was like, no, it's Daphne. And my wife's like, was it? I'm like, yeah.
Right? I'm gonna tell Erica now. If she doesn't watch this, I'm gonna tell her.
No, I already told Erica. I keep clean.
Yeah.
I can't keep secrets or whatever like that. Like,
that's some funny shit though. You have to, like, once you get away with it, you have to be like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
At least that's how I am. I have to, like,
that's
rat myself out.
Me too. I rat myself out too.
Because I'm so proud of myself.
Depending on, I mean, sometimes if it's the right friend that like, you know, because one thing about me that I think is unusual is that I enjoy when other people are uncomfortable.
Oh goodness.
So
that's an interesting
I mean like emotionally uncomfortable or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Is that, like, one of my favorite jokes that I do all the time when I'm getting off an airplane wherever I am, is the flight attendant is standing there usually saying, have a nice day, right, to everybody, right? So it's have a nice day, have a nice day, have a nice day.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to just keep a dead straight face and be like, don't tell me what to do. And, like, just stand there and, like, they'll just, like, to watch the gears start to turn and they're like, and then so I just try and, like, hold the serious expression as long as I can.
You gotta commit to the bit, dude.
Yeah, until I'm gonna, like, get off the plane or pass them, and then I smile and then, like, relieve the tension. But I love that. I enjoy it almost more when somebody doesn't get a joke I tell than when they get the joke. Because if they don't get it, it's even funnier to me. I'm like, really? You don't get that? So I just start laughing even more. I don't know.
Well, Twitter sucks for that though, because nobody gets, like, sarcasm does it. It's really difficult.
Dry humor doesn't go over.
No, and that's you know.
And I have very awful. Dry humor.
Yeah, I do too generally. So it's not good. Like, people will misinterpret or take out of context or whatever.
But I feel like that's part of what they try to do, though. That's the problem.
Oh,
I feel like what a lot of those people are doing, and this is why I block people.
You block a lot of people. Seriously, every time I have you on one of my shows, people swarm me with, like, oh yeah, well, he blocked me 6 months ago because of this. And I'm sure whatever they're saying is, there's some truth to it and some non-truth.
Yeah, it's probably 50-50 true and not true.
So but I just,
their part, whatever they're saying they said is probably not true. Right. And whatever they're saying I said might be true. You know, right. but the you know, the truth of it is that we have to, like, people don't give you a charitable interpretation of anything you're doing. You know, like, you say a thing and instead of going like, what do you mean by that? Which is my reaction. Like, if I don't understand, if there's multiple ways you could take a certain thing, I don't automatically assume that the person meant the worst possible thing, right? I go like, what do you mean by that? And then they'll say what they meant, and I'm like, oh, okay. Or I'm like, oh, that is the worst possible thing, you know. Right. And then that's that. So I feel like that's a, you know, I call it a recreational outrage, you know, like, people want to be upset. They want to be mad at stuff. And so, you know, if people want to be mad, I'll give them stuff to be mad about. I don't care. Like, that's fine if that's the thing they want to do. It's not how I want to spend my time, you know? So people who are
there are legitimate things to be mad about, though. This is what pisses me off. Stop, like, hate stalking my timeline on Twitter and getting, like trying to figure out a way that you can twist one of my tweets into, like, your sick, deranged narrative to, like, figure out a way to hate me more. When there are like politicians right now who have legitimate power and authority and influence and money and you're worried about what I tweet about. I mean, it's just fucking stupid, dude. Like, there are so many other things you could be doing with your time. Punch up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
I've had people tell me that, like, oh, you're punching down. Like, I've had this happen fairly often when I'm, like, making fun of a dope on Twitter who deserves to be made fun of. Because I believe in the power of shame. I do believe that. I believe that when somebody is saying or
some
doing
of these
something,
assholes that's just like like trolls or like
exactly.
You know,
I believe in the power of shame. Like, you know, you said something really awful and stupid, and you know, most of the time I will try to address this thing with this person directly. But then most of the time they double down, right? They just like, they're like, and then I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to mock you then.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. I believe in the power of that stuff. I think that's a good thing. I don't know that it would help me in terms of being a politician to garner their support or whatever, but
Probably not.
I mean, but I feel like I'm planting seeds, right? Like if I'm behaving poorly, I expect that honestly, I think that it's a trait of people who actually care about me that they'll tell me, right? That they'll say like, hey, whatever you're doing is not cool or whatever. But online, there's this weird thing where like people behave in a different way. They don't behave like they would behave face to face. They use derogatory terms for no good reason. They try to be as inflammatory as possible. They take offense to everything you're going to say or anything you could possibly say. And it's a game. It's like that, they're just, and I just don't have any fucking time for it. I just don't, if that's the thing that you want to do in your life, go do it somewhere else, and when people continue to do that on my timeline, they're booted. I don't care. Like, I really just don't care.
No,
I don't owe them anything. If I get into office, I'll owe the people in my district something, right? But I don't owe these people on Twitter a goddamn thing. So, be mad, die mad. I don't give a shit.
Seriously, cry harder. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so annoying how much time and energy. Like, I'm some mom, like a stay-at-home mom in Ohio, with no money, no power, no influence. I don't know anybody who knows anybody. Like, and you're more concerned about what I tweet about than you are about what politicians are voting for. And yes, I'm talking about your favorites. Like, your progressive yes queens are dog shit. Like, they're not doing anything for you, other than filling or like just blowing a bunch of smoke up your ass.
Let's have a rant right now. Let's have a rant right now.
Let's do it. Let's go.
What is a progressive? What does that fucking word mean? Like, nothing. What does that mean?
It means absolutely nothing.
Because I've never owned that label, so I don't know, like, but like that church I told you is a progressive church, and it was liberals. It was a bunch of fucking retired teachers. That's what
progressive means. Hipster liberals.
They're all retired old people who have money. They have money. They have healthcare. You should have seen the look on this one dude's face there when we were at a church function, and he said something like, because I was talking about how awful my healthcare is, and he's like, "What do you mean? Obamacare is really good," and he's like 78 years old, so he's never been on Obamacare, right? Like, he's been on Social Security or on Medicare since he was 65, so he has no idea, right? And I looked at him like he's an alien, and I'm like, no, dude, it's dog shit. It's bad, Yeah. And he got so mad at me, and I'm just like, no.
That's an objective fact. I mean, anybody that thinks that that Obamacare is worth a damn is.
It was designed not to be good. Like, that's the whole
ridiculous point. that anybody would try to make that claim. That's fucking ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense.
But he'd never had to deal with healthcare under these circumstances, right?
Right.
When you've been on Medicare for 13 years, right? I mean, at this point, like 15 years for him. Like, what do you even know about how this works? Well, I think you've seen it, but I posted an itemized bill from Daphne's birth. It was $46,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's crazy. Just to have a baby. A
natural childbirth. It wasn't a C-section. There were no major complications. Like, she had to be induced, but it wasn't this crazy thing. Like, it's a normal whatever. And then I look it up, and like in the UK, even adjusting for currency differences, because the pound is worth more. It's like $5,400. And I'm like, how is it $5,000 in the UK and $46,000 here?
America. Like,
how's that thing? And then I look at the itemized thing, and there's two, which, Erica, I have okayed this with Erica, my wife. But there's, she had like some pretty major hemorrhoids from the pushing and all that. And so there's this prescription strength hemorrhoid cream that is like $35 a tube if you buy it. They charge $2,194, I think, per application for 2 applications of 1 tube of this stuff. Like, that is asinine.
Obscene. It's obscene.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And to think that anybody could ever justify that sort of shit is, I mean, that's insane.
That's what I'm talking about. How the fuck have we normalized that? I don't understand. You guys, we deserve better. You deserve better. You deserve to be able to go to the doctor when you're fucking sick. Period. End of story. You deserve to be able to do that. This is the United States of America in the year 2021. We can 100% make that happen. There's no reason why we should not. I mean, we talk about taking care of our country and our people, and well, let's fucking do it then. It's real simple. You allow people to be able to go see a doctor. Like, that's basic shit.
I had to file bankruptcy in 2013, late 2013, because I broke my femur in a motocross crash. I crashed and broke my femur. I had insurance. I broke my femur, knocked myself out, got transported to the hospital. The bill was insane. I was there one night and it was like $125,000. The surgery was $64,000. Just for a normal put a rod in your femur surgery, which is like the most, that surgery has been around for a half a century, more than a half a century. And I'm like, you know, my insurance denied the coverage. They just said no, because it was like out of network or whatever. But I'm like, I didn't really have a choice. I was unconscious, like, right. You know, in an ambulance. Like, it's not like I'm going, hey, take me to an in-network, you know, like it's the horse. And then, you know, so I was, you know, I was having like bombarded. I was being bombarded with like medical collections and all this other stuff. And I don't have $125,000, you know? And so I ended up having to file bankruptcy to get out from under the debt, you know? And I'm just like, this is, you know, and I contacted a friend of mine who is from the UK, but is living in Spain. He has a wife his wife is a nurse in Spain. And I asked him to ask her how much this surgery would cost there if I paid cash, like if it happened there and I paid cash for it. And it was like $5,000. It was like $4,600 or something like that. And I'm like, cool. Well, I paid $64,000. I mean, I didn't pay shit. They could shove it. But
eat a bag of dicks.
Yeah. But like, you know, had it been a reasonable amount like that, I probably would have paid it, you know?
Yeah. No,
but the hospital didn't want that amount. Like, I tried. I called them. I tried to negotiate whatever. They're like, sorry, this is the rate. I'm just like, you guys are what?
And you know what's sick about that is that this is like for people's health. Like, it's a profit system around like your health and well-being. That's sick. That's gross. That's not like a civilized society. No, that shouldn't be an option. And you saw that just the other day. I cut my finger pretty bad with a circular saw. I was finishing up a wood project. I built a big workbench with some big drawers on it so that I could store all my woodworking equipment and stuff in these drawers and inside the workbench. And I was using a circular saw, like a handheld circular saw, because I had to trim one of the edges of one of the drawers because it didn't quite fit because it was meant to go in. But I think I measured it so precisely that like once the paint was on and stuff, it like wouldn't fit. Right. And so I was like just using it just up the edge of the thing, but I had to hold the drawer out with my hand like this. So I'm holding the drawer out and I'm kind of going, man, just like right up my finger. And I'm like, ah! Yeah, that sucks. I come running inside and I'm like, got it in my mouth. Cause of course, you know, otherwise it'd be all over the floor. And it was a mess. And, but like I had somebody on Twitter just like, you know, they're like, dude, you should go to the doctor. I'm like, I can't afford to go to the doctor. It's so fucked up. I have insurance, but I'm going to pay out of pocket for that. Like, you know, cause we don't usually, if we even meet our deductible, we don't meet it till very late in the year, you know, right. and then at that point they cover some stuff, you know, so it's too early in the year to like have to deal with going to the doctor right now. And with the pandemic and, you know, reduced income and all the other stuff that comes with that, you know, I can't go to the doctor for a finger cut. Like if it starts to turn colors and my finger's like looking really bad, I'm probably going to go to the doctor and deal with it. But you know, for I threw a clot pretty major cut, I'm not going.
I threw a clot a year ago in my lung and thought I was going to die, and I didn't go to the doctor.
That's what I'm fucking talking about.
So you had a pulmonary embolism.
Yeah, this is my third. That was my third one.
You guys.
So I knew what it was, but I didn't fucking go to the doctor because I was like, I could either be fucked or fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like that's the system we have, right? And this comes right back to the thing that bothers me so much about my daughter. I love my child more than life itself. And this is where she's going to live.
Right.
So I figure I'm either going to get into office and really start to make a difference and start to fight this system as it is,
or get the fuck out,
or I'm going to fucking leave. Yeah. I've got to get out of here. Cause I have to think about my family. I have to think about my
Although
kids.
Where can you go that the United States doesn't have complete control and influence over? Although the empire is failing. Like I don't know if it'll be
I've got a list.
lifetime.
I've got a list. I'd love to live in Iceland.
I have a list too. Yeah.
Iceland, New Zealand, Australia.
Germany's high on my list.
Germany would be good.
I'm German, part German.
Well, I'm Scots Irish, and I just can't deal with like blood pudding and black pudding or whatever it is, like this right. Shit they eat over there. I think I would rather live somewhere else.
I hear you.
but my wife's Portuguese, so Portugal is a possibility. And she speaks Portuguese, and she's teaching Daphne Portuguese. So
that's amazing.
It's so cool.
I'm so jealous.
Me too. My mom's fluent in Spanish, and she never taught me, so I feel
really
like I feel betrayed by that.
Yeah, I wish I would have learned another language. Like I know like bits and pieces of like Spanish. I know a little bit of like a tiny, like I know words in Russian. Honestly, I only learned because the Russian bot thing, and I was like, I need to like know some funny words. And
hey, dude,
like I know.
You should check out Duolingo. It's great for people.
No. That's how I did Russian. That's how I learned.
It's great, especially if you're like you can't just like do it for an hour at a time.
There's also a bunch of people who have like YouTube videos or like series like learn Russian, and like you can go like it's very detailed. It's like learning, like, and you can like pause and like write stuff down if you need to and like go back, and I mean there's plenty of ways that you can learn right now a new language.
I want to learn Portuguese because of I would like to because of my wife.
Your wife and your daughter will talk shit behind your back, fam.
I mean
you better
just wait till I'm not in the room if I understand it. Like I expect that's going to happen. But Erica does have quite an uphill climb on this because Daphne loves me a lot. Like she really digs her dad. So, good luck, Erica.
Challenge issue.
Yeah, good luck. No, but like I would like to learn Portuguese because it's also kind of similar to Spanish, and it would help me maybe pick up Spanish, which is good for, politics in my district and stuff like that. But I've tried, and honestly, man, I'm not sure I'm good.
It's hard.
Like, I'm not sure that, like, I can do a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of knowledge. I'm a smart guy, but man, language.
Not everybody's brain is languages. No, like some people are able to pick them up like it's nothing.
No,
like,
and my English is great. Like, my no, I mean seriously, like my understanding of the language, right? But I know it sounds stupid, but there are plenty of people in our country who are not good at
yes,
English,
I get it.
Like your and two and they get them wrong all the time. But like I was a proofreader and stuff like for publications, and so like I'm really good with English, and I wonder if that hurts me with other languages or something because I'm so in on English. I don't know, but I'm not good at it is the point. I'm really bad at speaking other languages. I'm very jealous when I see people who can speak more than one language. I just get really like I want to do that.
I'm really good at like memorization. Like I'm good at remembering different words for different things. Like I think like individual things.
Yeah.
No, but anyway. I mean, like, figuring out sentence structure and all of that stuff, like that's where, because it's all it varies across languages, and it makes my brain hurt trying to figure out what's what, and that's where I always get, confused and stuff.
So what does progressive mean in Russian?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to figure out, because that's where we were at before we got off on this.
What is progressive?
Because everybody talks about like, I'm a progressive or whatever, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. What is a progressive?
This is why I hate labels. I hate
they're
labels.
Dumb.
They're dumb as shit. They're co-opted and they're used to divide. That is their only purpose.
That's true. That's true. I think it was Nietzsche who said, when you label me, you negate me.
Yeah.
Right.
Stop trying to put me in a box.
Yeah.
I don't fit in your box.
That's all they're trying to do. They want to put you in a box, and then they want to disregard the box.
Well,
it's
and
like,
they want to
so you're one of those, and then they
and they want to make sure that you're only talking to other people in your box. And
of
you know what I
course.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's used for division, and it's used to isolate you and put you in an echo chamber. And I mean, that's very apparent. I don't fit in a box. Like, people be like, are you a communist? Not really. Are you an anarchist? Not really. Like, I'm a little bit of everything, really. You know, I don't really have like any one thing that I think is 100% dead on.
Yeah.
You know, there's different pieces.
You mean there are different answers for different problems?
Yeah. You know, the things are complicated, and I know, right? It's a crazy thought. Listen. I know. Yeah, that's it. I know it sounds a little out there. I get it, but let's just take a deep breath and consider it.
Hey, how about this for just a general way of looking at the world that I think is a valuable way of looking at the world? Dogma is bad. It's just bad.
Nonsense.
Dogma is not healthy. It's not good for society. It's not good for you as a person. You know,
tribalism, not
good. Yeah, that also
not good. It's
yeah,
not
but
good.
they're closely related. But yeah, you know, I think that's a lot of that stuff is, you know, there's a comfort level I think that people get, but I think people should fight that a lot more. You know, because we all like feeling comfortable, I think. But when I start to feel comfortable, like too comfortable, I start to get
uncomfortable.
Yeah, I start to feel like I got to get up and move. I got to go do something.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think that people in general would probably do better if they acted that way a little more. It's important to take the moments, take the time to rest and to you know, not be going all the time. But I also think that. Well, I know, me too. But that's what weed's for, honestly. Like that's the reason why I vaporize weed is that it gives me those, you know, a few hours every now and then at night when I can just
calm
chill
down
out and just be, you know, present and you know, like think about one thing at a time instead of 100 things at once.
Yes.
You know,
I relate to that so hard.
I know. And so like that to me is you know, it's an important part of my repertoire. It's like it's funny because I had somebody ask me on the campaign trail because I could tell they smoked weed because of, you know, how they were dressed.
Well, you can tell
knocking
sometimes.
on doors, yeah. And he asked me how much I smoke, and I was like, I mean, not a lot. And he goes, well, how often? And I go, well, at most, if I smoked yesterday, I won't today. So at most every other day, but you know, it's not every other day. Sometimes it's, you know, weeks without or whatever, but
yeah, I go through that too sometimes.
But like, when I said that to him, he's like, well, that's a lot, actually. He's like, that's like a pothead. Well, he's like, that's like 4 days a week then, you know? And I'm like, well, some weeks, I guess the other weeks would be 3, right? But yeah, I don't know.
Sometimes it's 7 days a week.
Yeah. I mean, not for me. I feel like I get dumb, honestly. Like, that happened to me a few years ago. I didn't even try weed until I was 34 years old.
Wow. I didn't know that about you.
And I was always afraid, even growing up, I was afraid of altering my mental state and not having control over how my brain works. I had this fear about that. So I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't get drunk the first time till I was like 25.
Wow.
And I didn't drink any alcohol till I was 24. And then the weed thing, I didn't try till I was 34. And to me, it was just, once I realized that alcohol wasn't that bad, I'm like, well, okay, you know, you can go too far with it and that's not fun, but otherwise, you know, it's not a big deal. And then, my wife and I were separated and I was dating a woman back in like 2011 or whenever it was. 2011. I was dating a woman who smoked. And so she brought over some weed and I was like, oh, okay, I'll try this once. And then I was like, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to do this all the time. So I started doing it like all the time. And I noticed that within like 3 months or so, I started not being able to pick words up and like to speak certain words when I'm like, I know the word for
you
this.
lose words. Yeah.
You know, like
I do that.
And I felt like I got dopey is the best word for it, I guess. And I felt like I felt like I was having a deficit, like some sort of a cognitive deficit. And so I looked it up online, and online it said like there were studies about this in Israel and the Netherlands and a couple other places. that showed that before the age of 25, when your brain is still developing, if you smoke too much, you'll have cognitive deficits, and to some extent they can remain permanent, because your brain is still developing up until about the age of 25. And so you're messing with the development a little bit. But it said that after the brain is done, after your formative years are over, that it's, it comes back. Like, you just have to stop smoking. And I'm like, oh, so I stopped for like a week, and then I felt normal again. And it was way back then that I set this policy of every other day.
Well, that's why it's always good to take a break. Like, that's why, I'll take a break, a lot, like very frequently. And it'll be like 3 weeks, or whatever, that I just won't smoke. Cause I just can't, I have to focus on stuff. But honestly though, I have severe ADHD, and it helps me a lot.
Oh,
it
me
helps
too.
slow my brain down.
Both counts, I'm ADHD as well.
So, I mean, in terms of would I rather smoke? Because even when I do smoke every day, it's usually like, just like a couple, 2-3 hits here, like, just like, it's not like I'm getting blasted.
No.
Yeah.
It's just enough to take the edge off of the world around me, man. Yes. I just gotta.
It really does help slow my brain down. I just gotta
quiet the world down a little bit, and then enjoy something funny on television or whatever. You know? Like,
or just be able to focus and like not be, all over the place all the time.
Have you ever tried any hallucinogenics?
Oh yeah. Let's
talk about hallucinogenics.
All right. I microdose,
LSD?
Shrooms. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So,
that's not LSD. It's a different.
No, I know, but like, yeah. But I think that everybody should try that at least once.
Yeah. I've done shrooms twice.
Yeah. I think it's, well, I don't know. Maybe not everybody. I mean, I don't want to like force it.
Well, no, people, like there's some people I think have legitimate medical issues, like they're close to the spectrum of being like schizophrenic or things like that.
Yes.
There are certain people like that who should probably avoid. They should probably avoid
mind altering substances.
And any mind altering substances, no matter what it is, alcohol.
Yeah. I'll say that. Yes.
Because it'll trigger something, but I think for almost everybody else, it's great.
Yes. I think it's, it allows you to see things differently. I mean, I know that sounds like very hippy dippy and whatever, but it really does give you it now. Yeah. But I mean, seriously though, I don't think anybody who's ever done shrooms or, a plethora of other drugs, it does. There is an opportunity for there to be like a mind opening experience.
Yeah.
That allows you to see things in a different way.
I'm going to give some advice on your podcast that I got from somebody before I did shrooms for the first time. So if anybody out there is considering doing this, first off, I hope, that your mental state and stuff like that, so that you don't cause yourself damage.
Don't do it alone.
Like we were talking about.
Never do that shit when you have a bad mood and you're in a bad mood ever.
No,
don't do it when you're in a bad mood.
This is the advice I got, and it was brilliant advice. So the first time my wife and I did shrooms twice together. First time in 2013, and the second time soon after that, because it was so much fun the first time. And but the advice that we got was to from a friend of mine who would know, he said to smoke a sativa to get on, like, so you eat it and then you smoke sativa to help you on to like ramp up onto the mushrooms. But he also said to make sure you do it on a warm, sunny day, like where you don't have to go anywhere, and you can just be at home or wherever, at a park, whatever. Right. But just on a warm, nice, pleasant day where everything's warm and fuzzy feeling or whatever, because the opportunity or the potential for having a bad trip or something like that, it starts to go, if things are dark or dreary or whatever. And so I was like, okay, so we followed his advice, and it was fantastic. We were like at one point we were both laying in the grass staring up at the sky, like in our backyard, just like laying there looking at the sky. And I was seeing what I've come to know now is what were called fractals, but it's like it looked like all the clouds were like swirling, like little tiny swirls going in the clouds, and I'm just like, how did I never notice this before? I'm like, I don't. And then And then I look over, we have this bougainvillea coming over our back fence of our property. And I'm like looking at that and I'm like, whoa, because it looked like a waterfall. It looked like the bougainvillea was like flowing over the fence, like at us. And I'm like, wow, you know? And I told my wife, I'm like, Erica, look at the bougainvillea. It's like a waterfall. And she looks at it and starts dying laughing. Like she's like doubled over. And I'm like, what's so funny? And she's like, it's not a waterfall. That's a bunch of women having a tea party laughing about how stupid their husbands are. It's very detailed. And I'm like,
that is very detailed.
I'm like that I feel like this is, you know, like even high, I was like, I feel kind of attacked by this.
Oh my God.
You know, but then like we're taking pictures of my dog's teeth. We're like opening their mouths and taking pictures of it with our phone and like zooming in on it. Like, holy shit.
So we once went to a store to get cigarettes. I don't smoke anymore, but we went to a store to get cigarettes, and then we were all taking a bunch of acid at the time.
I've done acid once. That's a different story.
So yes. But we got this lighter while we were at this little gas station, and it was like kind of like trippy hippie, you know what I mean? Like, you know, whatever that is. And so like hologram-ish.
Yeah.
And so we ended up that night, took acid, and then we ended up passing that lighter around. We named him Jax. And we passed him around all night long and just stared at him.
That's
and like,
so good.
Yeah, it was.
I love it. So then we were like laying in our hammock in the backyard.
Oh,
and we're
I love
like,
hammocks.
and it's one of those ones with the bars across it, so it's like you can lay side by side in it without being on top of each other.
Yeah.
And we're like kind of swaying and just staring at the clouds, and I was like, "Whoa, man, this is really cool." And I could swear the clouds were messing with me. That they were like purposefully kept blocking the sun out. Like you'd think the sun's about to peek out, and then the cloud would cover it up again. And it was so dramatic when I thought that was happening that the second time, a little while later that we did shrooms, I filmed the clouds because it looked like it was happening again. And I filmed them with my phone to like you know, so I could look at it later. Yeah. And it was not doing what I thought it was doing at all. But a little while back, about a year before Erica got pregnant with Daphne, we tried acid. The only time we tried that, and that was fantastic too. We ended up first off, another word of advice, because this isn't just readily available out there, but I thought, because I'm bigger, I'm like 225 pounds. I thought that I would need more than my wife, which was a mistake. It was an error.
Right. Yes.
I took 1.5 tabs and my wife took 1 tab. So when I was tripping about as hard as I ever did on mushrooms, I thought I was at the pinnacle, but I was about like 30% of where I was going. And I didn't know it, but we ended up spending most of the day outside and all that stuff too, again, but my trip lasted way too long because it was so much, but like we ended up, I swear to God, this is true. We ended up just sitting on the couch, cuddling with each other, my wife and I, and just like smiling and telling each other we love each other. And just like
I've done that on ecstasy a lot.
It wasn't ecstasy though.
No, I know. We were at hookah one time, and we there was 5 of us, and we it was raining, but we were rolling our balls off, and we sat in like a little circle in the middle of this muddy field in the rain with our arms around each other, going around in a circle, saying LOVE, LOVE. Like it was amazing. But we loved each other a lot that night. I mean, the love was.
And so this is the point, is that like some of these substances, my drug policy position is based on my experiences and the data and everything else too, but also my direct experiences. I think that's an important thing. I think that politicians in Congress who are like, you know, Jeff Sessions who's like, you know, we need to make sure that marijuana stays illegal forever because it's awful. It's a gateway drug and all this shit. It's just like, dude, you need to smoke some pot. Like you need to smoke a little.
Well, he needs to stop taking money from pharmaceutical companies because.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean?
That's part of it.
It's part of it. But a lot of these people, I mean, it's the same with the people. Not to get off. I mean, this is called bitch. So let's get off on a rant.
Yeah,
it's the same exact thing as the politicians who are anti-gun, who don't know a goddamn thing about guns. They've never held a gun. They've never fired a gun. And I'm just like, so you know, so you've never smoked weed and you're anti-weed. You've never fired a gun and you're anti-gun. You've never, you know, and it's just like, you know, how valuable are you really as any sort of a person who's going to make policy on any of this stuff. If you don't even know what this thing is or what it's about, how it works, I mean, it just
and
seems,
you're not even willing
ridiculous
to look at, like, you know what I mean?
Because
like,
it's bad, right? It's bad. Oh, we can't do that. And it's like, when it comes to drugs, my drug policy thing, my whole thing is about end the war on drugs altogether. Mm-hmm. I would like to, I mean, this is going to take a while because you got to break through a lot of stuff in our system, but a lot of people talk about legalizing weed, but I think that's the wrong move. And the reason why is because I live in a state where it got legalized and it went to shit, because politicians like to legalize weed because that makes it easy for them to tax the weed. And they're only making it legal because they want to profit off of it. They want the government to make money off of it. And that's the wrong motivation for doing it. It should be legal because it's fine, because it's just a plant and it's not going to hurt you. It's not addictive. It's fine to do. If you eat too much on accident, man, it's a bummer, but you'll be fine in the morning.
Get you some Pepto-Bismol or something, and
but you're going to be fine. It's going to be uncomfortable, but you're going to be fine.
Right.
And that's the thing, is it's like a self-limiting drug unless you eat it. But if you're smoking it, it's self-limiting, because at the point that you're going to have too much, you fall asleep. So it doesn't matter.
And you sleep amazing too.
Oh, like a log.
Yeah.
I wake up sometimes in the same position I fell asleep in.
I know.
Where I'm just like, whoa, man. So good.
And you don't remember any of your dreams.
No.
And you don't know.
So I think that marijuana and shrooms, plants, when it's just a straight plant, like just a plant, right? Because that's all those are. I think those things should just be decriminalized. And I mean really decriminalized, to the point that it's not a criminal offense to have it, to sell it, to grow it, do anything.
Yeah.
Fully decriminalized, right? There should be some protections to, with children and stuff, but I go back and forth a little bit on that, because I can't help but wonder if part of the reason why kids like drugs so much is because they're not supposed to have drugs.
Yes.
So there's that sort of, I don't know. I'm not sure about that end of it, but I would like to put out, like for weed, for example, because I know the data on this, I would love to have an educational campaign about weed funded through the government, about cannabis, that explains that heavy use prior to the age of 25 can lead to permanent cognitive deficits. But after the age of 25, do what you want, man. Just don't drive or do anything stupid, Right? But and then shrooms, I don't know what the guidance would be on that, but I think that as a plant, again, I think it's a safe plant overall. But when it comes to the hard stuff, the stuff that's real chemicals, because coca is a plant, but cocaine is not coca, right? It's like coca plus a bunch of other stuff that they use to process the coca into this thing. Those heavier drugs need to be legalized because they need to be regulated, so that they can stay safe. Like most of the people who die of heroin overdoses, for example, as I understand it, die because they get too pure of a heroin. So they get, they're used to getting 50% pure or whatever, and they get like a 70% pure batch, and they shoot up the same amount and then they die, right? So that's a big part of the problem. But also a lot of the problems with the drug deaths and everything else is that people don't think they can go for help because it's a crime. They're committing a crime.
And it's so taboo. Like people look down their nose at you and, oh, you're just a junkie. And it's this whole terrible thing. Actually, Pasta and Shanda from Roar Media are doing a new show right now. Sleepy, help me. What's it called?
Oh shit, I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's good though. I watched it.
It is good. Yeah. So, okay. It's like they're doing a show about addiction. I don't know what, To Hell and Back, or
it might be.
I don't know.
Let me.
The Road. I don't know. God damn it. I'm so bad at this. But it's an amazing show. Sleepy will figure it out for me. But yeah, they're doing a show on addiction. Like they're going to look at like a lot of the historical stuff and how a lot of these like policies got passed and how, you know what I mean? Like they're really digging into it. And they're going to go talk to like legitimate people who have, addiction problems. And Shanda herself is a recovering addict. I think she was injured and a doctor prescribed her stuff, and then it just snowballed from there, which is the case for so many people.
I mean, it easily could have happened to me.
Yeah. Anybody,
because
any of us.
I broke like over 25, like 26 or more bones racing motocross. I was knocked out 10 times. I dislocated just about everything. I dislocated my left shoulder twice, my right shoulder once, my right hip twice, my left hip once. You know, and I don't know how many other bones I broke or whatever other stuff I did, because there were tons of times that like I couldn't walk on my foot. My foot or my ankle was all jacked, but I could tape it up and ride, you know, so that's what I did, because I was racing. So, you know, like you can't miss a race. So, you know, so I don't know what was broken in there. I didn't want to know what was broken in there, if anything was. So, you know, but every time I mean, just this last time in 2013, when I broke my femur, we were talking about that earlier. The doctor prescribed hydrocodone, right? Vicodin, whatever. And I said, no, thank you. Because I know my particular biology or whatever, however this works, when I take it as recommended by the doctor, which is, in my experience, is usually like every 4 hours is needed.
4 to 6 hours.
Yeah, something like that. But when I stay in that schedule, by day 2, I start itching everywhere. Like I get like full on itchy neck, and like, you know, and I just,
mine's always my nose.
Yeah. So
allergic for sure.
I have to, what'd you say?
Probably allergic to it.
Yeah, maybe, but like it makes me itch.
To my mom too.
So I end up stopping, right? And so I just have, like, I only use Vicodin now. I hold on to them. But like I've gotten migraines my whole life, and I've gotten them less as I've gotten older. And since I started smoking weed, I've gotten almost none. But I have never thought about that before, but I don't think I've had a migraine since I started smoking weed.
I still get migraines.
But usually if I catch a migraine really early and I take one Vicodin, and go take a nap, I can knock it out before it gets like really going. You know, at least knock it down to where it's like a dull, you know, whatever. But outside of that, like, I think I just got lucky, because when I did my femur, I told him I didn't want that hydrocodone. And then when I went to the pharmacy downstairs on my way out the door, they handed it to me anyway.
Yeah.
They're like, here's your pills. I'm like, you know, they gave me antibiotics because I was cut open from the foot peg on my motorcycle, cut me open in the side and stuff like that, which I needed. But I didn't want the hydrocodone, but they gave it to me anyway. Like, what kind of drug pushers are these sons of bitches? When you tell them no, you say, no, I don't want it, and they give it to you anyway.
Well, and that's amazing too. None of these drug companies have faced any consequences whatsoever. They straight up lied to Congress. They pushed all these drugs. They bought doctors. They caused a lot of like chaos, death, and destruction with the opioid epidemic. And we know that they did it intentionally. Like, it's not like, that's not hyperbole. Like they did it intentionally. Like, they knew what they were doing.
And that is the failure. That's the fundamental failure of capitalism. That's where it comes apart, is that if your only focus is profit, then that is your only focus. Like, that is the only thing you care about. In a capitalist system, you can't afford to care about people.
Yeah.
You just can't, because it's not profitable to care about people. You know, and that's part of what bothers me about like I said earlier on the drug thing, you know, with all these legalizing marijuana everywhere, is that they're always doing it for the wrong reasons. And I think it spoils it, you know, because the reason is because it's not a problem. It's not actually bad for you. It's actually good for a lot of people, but it's not bad for very many people at all. And it's not addictive. It's fine. And you know, people come home from work stressed out and have a glass of wine or two or a couple beers. We can do that for you way better without, you know, any negative side effects of having your liver getting damaged over time, or having hangovers, or any of the other stuff that you get from it. And it's a plant that you could grow at home. Like, you just plant it.
And it's beneficial for so many things. I mean,
it's anti-inflammatory.
PTSD, it's an anti-inflammatory. It's good for depression. It's good for anxiety. It's really good for my ADHD. It helps slow my brain down.
Yeah.
It's good for insomnia. It's good for cancer.
So what are we doing? Like, what, you know, and so that's my thing, is like, why are like, I understand people wanting to have weed available and have people not go to prison for weed. Like, that makes sense, you know, but the politicians are always pushing this as a profit motive. You know, it's always like, man, look at all the money we could bring in for our schools or whatever. It's usually schools they talk about, because that's all politicians are charlatans, and they hide behind children, right? Like, you know, and so, oh, we'll make the schools better.
We did that in Ohio with the lottery.
Yeah, well, they did it in California with the lottery, but they ended up just taking funding out of the schools because of the lottery, and it ended up back exactly where it was in the first place.
Worse.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same here. It's the same bullshit here. Same assholes in charge, right? But this profit motive where like we could bring in all this money. It's just like, no, assholes. It's not about bringing in money. If you want to bring in money, tax people, tax the rich, tax the wealthy motherfuckers in your state. That's how you do it honestly. Even if you have to tax everybody, for certain things, at least it's honest to say up front, hey, we're going to tax because we need to fund this or that thing, right? And you need to educate the people. That you need to educate them as to why that's necessary. But just this like legalizing something that we've been told is bad. I mean, it's still Schedule 1 at the federal level, which puts it above like
so ridiculous.
I think it's above heroin, but it's above like cocaine and other shit because it's Schedule 2. And so because to be Schedule 1 in the DEA thing, you have to be two things simultaneously. It's not one or the other. You have to be both things. You have to be A, highly addictive, right? Highly addictive, or B, you have to be it's got to have no medicinal value. Those are the two things. Highly addictive with no medicinal value. And marijuana is neither of those things. It is right. And it's Schedule 1. And it's like, what the fuck is that? Like, so it's all bullshit. And that's why ultimately when I first tried weed at 34 and I realized how great that was, that's why I tried mushrooms, and that's why I tried LSD. And I haven't tried anything else outside of that. But like, I just, the mushrooms led me to the LSD, but it's not the gateway drug as in the classic sense. It was a gateway drug in a way, but it was just because I realized that the narrative that they were pushing on me for my whole life is bullshit, and that the drugs aren't actually bad. If marijuana is not bad, and then I try shrooms because I'm like, well, what about shrooms? Maybe they're bad or whatever. And then I try them on the recommendation of a friend, and then that works out great. And then I'm like, so what? So which one?
Well, it again comes back to narrative control. It again comes back to the bullshit that they feed you. This is seriously the front line of every fucking thing. All the things, you guys. This is it. I realize that I can get like a little dramatic about this, but that it really is it. That's why, I mean, they lie us into wars. They look at Russiagate and QAnon and all of the stuff that they shove down your throats constantly. You're being propagandized all day, every day, from every direction. And that is and right now they're seeking global jurisdiction. The United States of America is seeking essentially global jurisdiction over journalism and information. If that doesn't fucking terrify you, there's something wrong with you.
Now, here's something that this is a good tangent. I have a good friend of mine who I don't name because I don't think he would want me to. But he's a really good friend of mine. I love him. And he's from Italy. He's older than I am. He's from Italy. He moved here in his 30s, so he still has a very thick accent and all that stuff. He's an amazing cook. And he's got great fashion sense. He sorted out my suits and all this stuff for campaigning. He's like, dude, you don't wear that with that. He's like going through. He's very, very, very smart and heterosexual. So I don't know. But the point is that he in Italy he got his bachelor's degree is in U.S. history, and his master's degree is in political science. So he's really smart too. He's a lot smarter than I am. But we have a lot of these deep conversations. So he's smarter than me, but I think more than he does, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, we have these deep conversations back and forth. And the other, like a few months ago, maybe 2-3 months ago, he texted me like this really excited text. And he goes, I figured it out. I go, what? Because I always present the Democrats and Republicans as being two sides of the same coin, which overall they are in a big picture sense. But he goes, no, he says the Democrats and Republicans they serve two different, or they lean toward two different sets of oligarchs, if you will. And the way he explained it, and it makes sense when you think about it, and is that the Republicans are old money mostly. So they lean towards old money. So it's oil, it's real estate, it's steel, it's stuff that's been around, generational wealth, stuff that carries through many generations of people, 100 years back or more. And the Democrats, they lean towards new money, which is like Wall Street, speculative banking stuff, Silicon Valley,
green
energy stuff, right? So the Elon Musk type shit, right? And so that's really the divide. So where I'm going with this is that he pointed out, he goes, that's why the social media companies and the big tech companies support Democrats overwhelmingly, is because they want a world without borders, where they can, these media companies can do whatever they want everywhere else. And the United States wants the same thing, right? They want that same control. The government does. And then, on the other side is the Republicans. And if you're in real estate and all this other stuff, that's like, this is mine, and I've got a hold of it. Then you don't want open borders. You want closed borders, right? You want stuff shut down. You want to be able to keep what you have. You want to keep everybody else out of your stuff, right? And so I think that there's something to that. I think that he's a really smart guy, but also in analysis and everything else, I think that might be a dividing line that people don't talk about enough, is that this narrative control and stuff like that is a Democrat thing more than it's a Republican thing.
For sure.
And that is a big problem, because that is a big root. That is a root of a lot of the problems that our society faces.
Yes.
And so it's a way too long of an answer to put on Twitter when somebody says, why are you never talk about the Republicans? I do talk about the Republicans, but why are you always bashing the Democrats?
They're not as big of a threat, in my opinion.
They're not. I don't think that they are either.
I mean, the Democratic Party is the gatekeepers of progress at this
That's
point.
Right. That's right.
They're the only ones standing in the way. They could do stuff right now. They're in control right now, and they're not doing jack shit.
Yeah, but why would they?
The problem. No, I mean, because they're owned and operated by pretty much the exact same people. And you're right. There is like some divide. There are like different sectors of the oligarchy.
Yeah, they'll still get donations from both sides, but it's just the way they lean a little bit.
It's cliquey. It's a high school for psychopaths. That's what I like to say. And so it is very cliquey. And so I
always heard Hollywood for ugly people, but no, high school for psychopaths is a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay. I'll say either one is acceptable, but that's the way that it works. And so for the most part, they are all owned and operated by, pretty much the same people.
Yeah.
There's some overlap here and there, and then there's some division here and there, but for the most part, they're all working for basically the same team. And they don't give a shit about you. And they will work together on the things that they need to work on. Mostly, they just care about keeping things from helping you. They want to help themselves, and by extension, they want to help each other. So they don't care. Like if it's going to help get all of them richer, they're going to do it.
Here's a rant I've never talked about, but you're exactly on the right page here. But I read a thing a little while back, and I'm not going to get into specifics on it, because the issue here is the concept of moral hazard. Okay, this is a thing that some people in the government talk about. Like, you can kind of deep dive and you'll find this phrase. If you Google the phrase moral hazard, you'll find this phrase quite a bit. But like, for example, what I read that really struck me was that after the 2008 financial crash, the main reason why the government bailed out the banks instead of the homeowners was because of moral hazard. And the moral hazard was that if we paid off their loans or whatever, that it would somehow create this
right dependency on
whatever it is, right? Whatever bullshit that is. But they could have bailed out all the homeowners for less money than they gave to all the banks, right? And nobody would have lost their homes. And it would have, imagine how much different society would be. But instead, they gave it all to the banks. And it's this concept of moral hazard. I don't think government should be deciding what the fuck is moral. That's not their job. There are certain things where there's a victim, like it's a victim, theft, murder, stuff like that. Like, okay, yeah, we need somebody there to be able to have and enforce laws to fight back against, that sort of stuff, to prevent it or to punish it when it happens or whatever. Like, okay, I'll buy in that far, right? But as far as like morally, trying to regulate or legislate my morality as a human being by deciding what plants I can use or smoke or have, by deciding you know, who's at fault, like by refusing to bail out people like me when the financial crash happened and stuff like that. Like that is a real problem. And I don't think it gets talked about enough, you know,
well, especially given that these are the people who are like advocating for genocides across the world, and Nancy Pelosi is, you know, like covered up a torture program, and
and they're sticking their fingers in their assistants without permission.
Right.
You know,
I mean, these are not good people. We elevate the worst among us to positions of power. It's a real problem.
Well, that gets back to the narcissism thing, I think. But yeah. So what, you know, like I don't need anybody to moralize to me about what's right or wrong. You know, as long as I'm not hurting anybody else, it's nobody's fucking business what I'm doing.
I also don't need somebody to babysit me and the information that I can access.
Right. That's right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I can think for myself.
Exactly. You know? And by the way, I should think for myself. It's actually good. It's good for you as a human being. It's good to actually think, because it keeps your brain working. You know, like the when you see elderly people, which my wife works at a retirement community, so she's around a lot of people like that. But my parents are you know, both over 70 now too. And when you see the sort of kind of a rapid cognitive decline, it usually comes around a point that they just kind of stop wondering, right, about how things work, about the world, about, you know, whatever, and you know, or even innocently believing that they know, right? So they stop investigating, so they stop thinking. And I think that's a big issue too, is that like, it's not just about what's good for our society, because it is good for our society if we all are, you know, we all take the time to really think things through. And really try and learn what's really going on, and you know, use some critical thinking. But it's also good for us as individuals, as human beings, to keep our brain fresh, to keep us healthy. I think that's a good thing, and it's discouraged at a systemic level, you know, to be able to think like you think, and they you know, they treat you like you're a pariah, like you know what, for example. If I hadn't predicted the 2018 Duma, I didn't predict it would be in Duma, but the 2018 Syrian gas attack in Duma in April of 2018, I predicted it 3 days before it happened. Had I not predicted it, like publicly predicted, I mean, I still might have said like, oh, I knew that was, you know, something, and people would have been like, oh, bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But the thing is even now I get people that are like, yeah, well, you just got lucky or whatever. Like, that's dumb. You know, like, obviously this guy gassed his own people. I'm like, so you're saying obviously the guy who has the United States in his country, and he doesn't want them in his country.
Right.
And they're in his country because he was supposedly gassing his people. And he wants them out of his country. And right after we announced we were leaving his country, which is when this happened, this is how I predicted it, he gasses people again.
He decides to do like the one thing
that would going to keep the United States in his country. And
I mean, come on,
like, is that
Assad's got his issues, but he's not a moron.
No, that's the thing. He might be like, he could be an awful person. He could be a tyrant.
He's the leader of a country. You don't get to that level of power without being a shitbag.
Right.
You don't.
He could be all these awful things, but he's not dumb.
No,
he's not an idiot. And like, these people, like, critical thinking, man, like, this is not, you know, we don't do a good job of teaching that in schools, but that's no excuse as an adult. Like, pick up a book, start learning stuff, like, start figuring out how you're supposed to, you know, start questioning everything.
Well, for
all
me,
the time.
with politics,
all the time.
In politics, how many times does your government get to lie to you before your sense of skepticism kicks in? Seriously, I am genuinely curious what it takes for people to be like, maybe I should question this.
And on the other end of that, because you're correct, on the other end of that, I've also had people try and sell me on like, China's cool, actually. And I'm like,
right. No, here's
like,
the
what
thing.
makes you think China's cool?
The United States can be lying about China, and China can also have its own serious issues. Those two ideas can coexist.
Right?
In the same
Why do we have to stand for any world power? Like, why are we? Why is anybody going like, you know what? Actually,
a little bit of intellectual consistency would be nice. Just a little tiny bit. It's like the same thing with, what they do to Tara Reid. It's fine when Joe Biden rapes Tara Reid, but Alyssa Milano is going to cry over Kavanaugh, and she's going to stand outside with her little sign, and but then she's also going to praise Bill Clinton, and she's going to gaslight for Joe Biden, and there's no consistency.
She's a psychopath for sure.
She is a psychopath. She wants to run for office too now, and
I can't wait.
You know she's gonna win. You know she's gonna fucking win.
I know.
She won't win. She won't win. She's gonna run from what I think. From where I understand, she plans to run. It's a heavily red area.
Is it?
Yeah, she'd be running. Like, she wouldn't run against a Democrat. She's a Democrat, and she believes the Democrats are great. Like, she's one of those idiots.
I could still see her winning. She's got money, and she's got name recognition, and she's got that could be. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to. I don't know.
Regardless,
district. So
I still think it would be amazing, even if she won. I think that would be fantastic.
It gave me an excuse to share Jesse Jett's "Complicit Milano," which is one of his songs that he wrote, and it's fucking hilarious. And you guys should go check it out. It's it's a diss track.
One of my favorite things was I was at the grocery store and I took a picture of Milano cookies.
Yeah.
And I just said, rape apologist cookies.
Oh, nice. Yeah, she's gross, dude. I mean, the nerve that it takes for her to be all like, oh, I'm better than you about the whole Me Too thing, and then it's just gross. It's gross. I hate when people use sexual assault as a political weapon. It drives me fucking crazy. It's disgusting. It shouldn't be done. It's really fucking weird. It really is like one of the dirtiest tricks in the political playbook, for sure.
Yeah.
Either way, it can either be demonizing a victim, or it can also be like what happened to Julian Assange, and where the accusations are used as a weapon against him, because it can be used both.
Yeah, and against all kinds of people around him too. Like, there's all kinds of people around him that are getting nailed with that. And it was always a bullshit. And I think that actually the journalist that first released that stuff about Assange directly, he's now been arrested, like as of about a year ago. I think he was arrested for actually doing the things that he accused Julian Assange.
I'm not surprised. We live in a fucking cartoon. I mean, that's
fucking crazy.
Par for the course. Yeah, that's par for the fucking course. That's ridiculous.
But like, Alyssa Milano is a beautiful woman physically. So like the same assholes that stand for AOC will probably end up standing for her. Like, oh, look at her. It's like, like, she's not going to screw you, dude. Like, it's not
cult of personality. Here's the thing. I call it celebrititions. And what we've done is like, we now treat politicians like we're 12-year-old little girls, and like AOC is JTT on the cover of Tiger Beat.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas from Home Improvement at the time.
And
man, we are old.
He was also Simba.
Old. Yeah, but that's when his star like got a little too bright, and he got a little too big for his britches, and then he just kind of disappeared.
Is that what happened? He got too big for his britches? Or I thought he went to like medical school, I thought, didn't he?
No,
like, Smarty Pants kid.
I think so. I think so. But
I don't know. I could be confusing my teen icons.
No, because Tim Allen, like, he told this story on a show I saw him on, where he was just talking about, and he didn't name him, but you knew who he was talking about. But I guess that, like, he became such a star as such a young man, and that's by the way an unhealthy thing to have happen to a kid. Like, that's not a thing that I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But
no,
but he became a star, and then he became very, very difficult to deal with, like, just to have him on the show that he's doing all this stuff. And so then he did Lion King, and it was a huge success, and all these other things, and then all of a sudden eventually it was kind of like everybody kind of start, like, the show shut down, like, and basically the phone just stopped ringing because nobody wanted to deal with him.
Well, that happens a lot with teen stars. Once you hit a certain age, you're no longer marketable.
But that doesn't mean
little kid.
In his case, from what I understand, it's not that he wasn't marketable anymore per se.
Some of them turn into assholes.
Yeah, he just was an asshole. And it's like there's always a different asshole. Like, there's somebody else they could put in his role. He wasn't special enough that there wasn't somebody else that they could hire.
Nobody's ever special enough. There's always somebody else that they can turn into the next.
So I think that's more it. But the feeling that the child star has of abandonment and all that stuff, I think is awful, but it's a thing that is going to happen, when you see that stuff happening. And Alyssa Milano is one of those too.
Yes. Child star.
Yeah, she's a child star like that. So I do have some empathy for her, but it only goes so far. But
yeah.
I still think she's an asshole, but I have some.
I do understand. Yeah, sure. I can attempt to put myself in her position and imagine the things that she's been through. And I can't imagine that it's easy to navigate Hollywood as a young girl and then a teenager. You know what I mean? Like that's,
or a young man. I think that that's a predatory environment.
There's a really good movie you guys should go watch called An Open Secret. It's about the pedophilia in Hollywood, and it's disturbing. So go into it.
I don't necessarily want to watch that. I don't think.
No, but I mean, I'm one of those weirdos who I know that it sucks and I really don't want to watch it, but I also feel like I should be informed. And so I you know what I mean? Like it's this weird battle with myself where it's like with you and your pictures of the.
I know, but that's where I drew the line. Like
I get it.
There's a point where
your psyche can't take it anymore.
It's
shut down. Yeah,
it's just so dark, and it's a lot to overcome. And not to be hyperbolic, but if you talk about light and darkness, there's so much darkness in this world, and there's only so much light that you can personally bring back out to overcome it. And I'm already at my limit. I can't
No, there are times
those people that I block on Twitter. Those people that I block on Twitter and stuff. It's because I have no patience for them anymore.
Yeah. And listen, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't block people if that's what you need to do.
No, but that's my point. Is that I don't care if you told me I shouldn't block them. I just
didn't want to come across that way.
I don't care. I'm just saying that they can whine and complain, like I said earlier, die mad. I don't care. But because ultimately, I have a level of what I can handle, and I know. Try and say this in a way that doesn't sound arrogant, but if you talk about the average American, I know more than them about the darkness that we face, about the stuff and I'm trying to inform people. It's not that easy, but I know more than a lot of people do, and it's a lot to take on. It's a lot to fight against, and so I just, there comes a point, there were times before I started blocking a lot of people. There were times when my wife was pregnant and I'm on my phone arguing on Twitter with somebody, and just I could feel my blood pressure getting high, just because I'm so upset. Or I
used to get that way.
I would read an argument or read an article about a thing that's really awful. And it's just it took me away from my wife, and it took me away from our daughter, when she was born, and I'm unwilling to do that, So I have my Twitter account is set up so that I get alerts for everybody, because when you get a blue check, the default way to do it is that you only get alerts from people who you follow.
Right.
Responding and stuff like that. But I changed that because I think it's important to engage with people as a politician, to have conversations. But so many of these people come in just sniping and just, being real assholes about stuff for no good reason. They have a bad day that day, whatever. But, and I empathize with having a bad day, but don't make it my bad day. Right. I'm not here to be your punching bag. That's not my thing. And I have no responsibility to you to be here, to be your punching bag. My responsibilities are to my child and my family, my wife, my parents, my sister, my child. And then second tier is to my community where I live. It's, my neighborhood, then my community, and et cetera. But I do have responsibilities, and I do owe, I believe, a lot of people my attention and my time, I guess, is the easiest way to say that. But I don't owe these people on Twitter a fucking thing. So if you're going to come into my goddamn page and you're going to start sniping at me and telling me stupid shit, and you don't take a hint when I tell you that I'm not interested in that sort of thing, then you're gone. You're gone.
And I don't blame you.
Go away. I don't give a shit. And if you think that it's because I'm soft or whatever, you can fuck yourself. Because that's not what it is. I talked about being a soft, sensitive guy in terms of, being a tender, sensitive guy. But I'm tough too. Like
I think it's it's
my
different.
nose is
it's not
crooked.
so
If
much
you've noticed,
you're not a pushover.
My nose has been broken a few times. So
mine's been broken once, but that was because of a softball bat. So that's different. I didn't get into a fight. I just got hit.
But it was at a softball game.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's different.
Yeah. Somebody was behind the back. No, but somebody was behind the backstop taking practice swings, and I just
yeah.
And,
that would hurt. Yeah, that would suck.
It definitely did hurt. I was 8 and it sucked.
Yeah, that sucks. But like that's the thing is like I'll fight, like legitimately I'll fight anybody. Like I tried to set up a fight with the
I don't like physical fights.
No, I'll physically fight. My mom, believe it or not, taught me how to box when I was young.
Nice.
Because her dad was the fleet boxing champion in World War II in the Navy in the Pacific Fleet, in the heavyweight division. Nice. And so he taught her and she taught me, and he taught me some too when he was still here. And but like so I know legit the basics, and I'm a pretty decent boxer. So street fighting, if you know how to box in any sort of a regular fight, you win, because like most people don't know how to do anything with that stuff. So, but like I actually offered that lead singer of Trap that ended up getting kicked off
such
of
a douche canoe.
Yeah. I told him once the vaccines were out and everything, that I would box him. And then whoever wins.
Did he block you?
No, he agreed, but he ended up getting his account shut down.
Oh.
But I was going to box him, and then whoever won, if I won, he had to never play music again, if you want to call it music, and I would never run for office again. So that was the trade-off, and I was going to do it. I was going to kick the shit out of that guy.
That would have been really funny. I would have actually paid to see that, like some pay-per-view shit. I would have been down for that.
Yeah,
for real.
But like, so legit, like what I'm saying is I'm not soft in that way. Like I'm a tough person, but I just have a short patience, for this shit. I got other stuff I need to be doing.
Especially when you know it's trolls. Like when you know it's trolls and it's bots and they're not legitimate people.
Or sea lions. Sea lions get me, man.
Yeah.
These people that are,
I have no time for that shit.
They're polite, but they just have endless questions, and no matter how many times you answer them, they come up with a different way of asking basically the same question. Yeah, but here's another thing. For people watching this that are blocked by me, I don't mute people anymore, because I figured out that when I mute people, I can't see what they're saying anymore. And so if they're saying really inflammatory shit or anything else, like I've gotten people DMing me like, hey, this person,
I get that all the time.
Whatever. And so I just block them now. I don't even I think the mute is kind of a useless function. So I just block them now. I'm like, you're out of here.
I don't care what they're saying. Honestly, I just don't care. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what I do. They're going to twist the things. They're going to do what they do. And I'm not going to, I just don't give a shit. I just can't give them. Every once in a while I get pulled into bitching about them or whatever. And it's fun because they are just really annoying and stupid, and it's easy to make fun of them. But I just don't really give a shit, because these are not like legit. They're not honest actors. They're not good people. They're just there to cause division and chaos.
And I'm not going to sit here and be all woe is me or anything, because that's certainly not the reason why I'm running for office is because of all the other people that have it a lot worse than I do, and I'm trying to actually do something to make a difference for them. It's not for me, like I said with the pictures and all that stuff. But so I'm not going to be all woe is me about this stuff, but it really is very difficult to do this thing, to run for office, to do all the stuff that you have to do that goes along with it. It's a real pain in the ass. And, I don't expect people to understand that who haven't actually done it, but it also makes me have even shorter patience, because I feel like, whether I'm right or wrong, I feel like I have taken and put my ass on the line, my face, my voice, and everything on the line to fight this duopoly, this power system, this, very powerful system that I'm fighting against. And I took it on myself voluntarily. So, nobody to blame but me for doing that. And nobody owes me respect or anything like that. That's not a thing, but I'm not going to deal. I just feel like I'm doing.
Don't waste your energy on.
Yeah, I'm doing something, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm trying really hard, and I know how much effort I have to put into this, and I know know what it's done to my personal life and my professional life and all kinds of other stuff by having these principles and standing by them. And I'm not going to sit around to some anonymous assholes on a website who are sniping at me
and justify yourself.
And I'm just like, no, you're gone. Just get out of here. Like,
especially when these are like anonymous do nothing trolls.
That's what I mean. Like,
they don't actually
they don't have their real picture on their profile. No. They don't have their name on their profile, and they're always like,
and they literally think activism is bitching about podcasters.
Yeah, but they're like, well, I got to protect my, because I have a job and I don't want people to know. And I'm like, well, do you think I didn't, prior to the pandemic and all this other shit? Like,
I get all that stuff, but don't just don't be an asshole then. I mean, just don't.
So part of me, and so tell me what you think about this, because I'm 50-50 on this, because I see both good and bad. I would love it if social media required that people sign up as themselves.
I'm against it.
So you're against it?
Absolutely. There are people who have
I think for whistleblowers,
abusive partners. I get it, but there are people who genuinely have security reasons, like safety reasons that they need to remain anonymous, and they shouldn't be left out of participating in social media.
And they shouldn't be forced to disclose those sorts of things.
That's dangerous for some people, and that makes me uncomfortable.
But I really wish that there could be.
I get it. I get where you're coming from, but I'm like, no.
I just really think that if people were,
it would be harder for them to like be awful.
They would be nicer. They'd be more polite. They'd be kinder.
I think people are like, I've been online longer than most, and people have always been assholes online.
Yeah, and I think that's always going to be the case. And Sleepy, I'm sorry, we're like way over time, Steve. I could talk to you forever.
I know, right?
You can go another like 10 minutes. You're good.
No, I gotta go finish.
You started late.
I gotta. My wife's transmission has been draining this whole time, so I got to go change my shirt and everything.
I just always try to get Sleepy. Sleepy works really hard for a lot of people, so I try not to keep him for too long because he's doing me a huge favor by helping me with this. So,
well, he could have just napped. Yeah. Sleepy, were you napping at any point during this 2.5 hours?
I did that. I did that before the show.
Oh yeah, he did. He just woke up before the show. So that's what I'm saying. Like he works for a lot of people. So he does a lot for everybody.
I just love talking to you, man.
I could talk to you forever. So I mean,
it's
we
funny
can always do
because
this again.
I didn't talk at all until I was like 3 years old. And now I can't shut up. Like I just go talk and talk.
Yeah, no, you are a talker though, and like I don't mean that like in a bad way. Like I enjoy people like that because I can like we can just talk and talk about everything. So
well, I mean that's part of why that's part of why I picked this role. That's part of why I chose to become a politician rather than any other number of things I might have done. Is because I knew that I could do this.
You can talk to people. Yeah, I get that. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find your campaign website and all of that stuff so that they can support your campaign?
Yeah, unless you're blocked, I'm on Twitter at Real Steve Cox. If you're blocked, then
fuck off. Eat a bag of riches.
Hey, I block people. Like I'll sometimes block people not because I like don't like them or anything, just because I don't want to see the same shit over and over, like straight up.
No, I agree with that. I've done that too. But also I've seen retweets pop up of like neoliberals getting retweeted into my timeline. I'm like, who tweeted that? Block. I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that
unless you're making fun of them. Then
I'm like, because I feel like honestly, in some way, I feel like those people are like moles too. Like they're in they're who knows who they're telling. Because I have some people on Twitter who DM me and tell me like so and so is telling you or talking about how you're a racist or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so people are watching me and shit, and I just don't like that. I mean, making up stories about me and whatever because I'm not a racist. But anyway, so Real Steve Cox on Twitter, unless you're blocked. Also Real Steve Cox on Facebook and Instagram. The Facebook will be picking up here in a little while. I haven't done a lot there. Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you about was the Nancy Mace thing. Did you see all that stuff? How she tagged her own house with all the spray paint.
Oh yeah, I did see like analyzing her handwriting and shit. That's amazing.
Nobody.
I haven't followed it extensively. There's been a lot going on.
It's so obviously her, and it also happened last October. She keyed her own car. Because the F is an exact match on her actual handwriting and the spray paint and on the
you cracked me up though doing like handwriting analysis and like
I wasn't doing it. It was
no, I know it just cracks me up. Like I'm like, look at him, dude.
No, but it's so funny that like it's so obviously her and she's started fundraising. Anyway, so Real Steve Cox on those places, and then my website is voteforcox.com. I will be rebuilding it at some point here soon. I just got a logo made by one of my followers on Twitter who's volunteered to remake my congressional campaign logo, which I'm very thankful for, and it's going to debut in the next day or so. And then after that, I'll start rebuilding my website. But even so, on the issues page on voteforcox.com is over 30,000 words of policy and philosophy that'll explain to you how I think about just about everything. A couple of my positions have changed in nuanced ways since I wrote that back in 2017, but overall it's still correct, I think. And so if anybody wants to just kind of dive in on policing or any other number of things on truth in media, whistleblowers, all that stuff, it's on my website. Because I feel like if there's any way to actually repair our government and our society in any meaningful way, it's got to be done through the people themselves, which means that they have to change their behavior and they have to start voting and doing the things, assuming the voting actually works legitimately, but they need to start behaving in a way that will create the society that we need to have. And so I don't look at it as a top down sort of thing. And so the reason why there's so much on my website to read is because I feel like it's a disservice to hide anything from voters. I think that they need to take the time to learn. And if they're not willing to take the time to learn where I stand for and why, then, they're part of the problem. Right. So that is, I wish I could run my whole campaign on, it's your fault. Right. But I don't know that I can do that. And I've got a couple 5 or 6 commercials, like internet videos that we've conceptualized that are going to be very different from any political commercials anybody's ever seen. They're going to be coming out in the next couple of months. I've already written them, and I'll be storyboarding them and filming a couple of them here in the next little while. So we're going to have some stuff coming around. So if you could donate, that's what I need more than anything, which I hate asking for money, but Misty gave me $50. And if she's willing to give me $50, I
don't even do electoral politics.
Yeah, and I feel like you guys could give me $5, so please go to my website, click through to my crowd pack page and give me some money. The money is all going to go toward winning this race or trying to win this race. I'm not taking any of it. So it goes toward that cause directly. And anyway, as much as I hate people, I love people. and it's quite a dichotomy,
yeah,
to be
I feel that.
But I want one point I want to make that I think is a powerful point before we go is I had somebody ask me, an acquaintance asked me a while back. They said, they're Republican, and they said, why should, if I'm taking care of my child, why should I take care of this other child over here who's not being taken care of? Why does that fall on me to take care of this other child for this other parent or whatever? And the thing that I think people really need to understand, no matter where they are in the political spectrum, and a lot of people on the left get this a little bit more than others, but what I told her was, I said, I'm an old parent, right? I'm 44. My daughter's a year and a half old. I'm going to be 60 when she graduates high school. So I'm not going to be around probably as long as I'd like to be into her adult years. So I'm not going to be able to protect her as long as most parents are probably able to do that for some of their children, as in under more normal circumstances, if you will. And I know that. And it terrifies me. But I think about that other child living with my child without me. And that is what motivates me more than anything, is that other child needs help. They need to get the proper upbringing one way or the other. It's best if it comes from their parents. But if their parents are somehow incapable, we need to help. We need to help them become capable. We need to help the child directly, however it works. We need to improve our educational system because that child will be in this world with my child.
Yes.
And if that child is an asshole or is violent or any other things, that is going to affect my child. And, so you can take it from a very I think, a very selfish point of view in that way. But I think it's still true.
But really, we're just all interconnected. We should just all try to like do our best to take care of each other and get along.
That's the hallucinogenic way of seeing the world. And I know that you and I both we've experienced that. But I'm saying, for even right wing or liberals or whoever else, like,
there is a selfish aspect that you
need to understand that this will affect your child, that this will affect your grandchild. When you have a society with so many children falling out, that affects everybody. And so, anyway, it's just a point that I've always really liked to make since I first made it to this lady.
I think it's important because I think that that's something that people don't really think about on a deep level, and what that really does mean.
But my opportunity as an old father made it easy for me to see it.
Yeah,
I think
I get that.
When you're
my husband's an old father too, so
so it's just there's a responsibility obviously that comes with being a parent.
He would kill me if he just heard me say that, by the way. I'm gonna go tell him now that I just called him an old dad.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that I'm gonna be at my daughter's schools if she goes to school.
Right.
But I know I'm gonna be the oldest dad.
Right. Okay. Well, listen, I
love people. Except if you're blocked, I probably don't like you that much.
No, that's okay. But still, he would fight for you, even though he doesn't maybe like you.
Because I fight for what's right. It's not for people. I don't fight for specific people. I fight for what's best.
I fight for people in general.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Humanity in general. Yeah.
Not any specific person. No.
Yeah. Okay. So before we wrap up, of course. I would love to have you back on, and as always,
literally whenever you want. You just got to tell me.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, we can have you on Facts on the Ground. We can have you back on here. Or a vigil or whatever. So cool. Okay, so as always, go visit Sleepy Josh's Twitter page at abortu, ABORTU, and go to his Buy Me a Coffee link and buy him a coffee because dude's awesome. He's very helpful. Couldn't do this without him. And then next week we have Sky Daddy, which you guys know that's going to be fire.
That'll be a rant session.
Yeah. That's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited, you guys. I'm so excited. Okay, so we have that to look forward to. And Monday, June 14th, we have the Home Run for Julian event in Columbus, Ohio. Please come out. It's at 1:00 at the State House. His father and brother will be there. We've got a cool event planned. I've got lots of swag to give away. So definitely check that out. And the Billboard GoFundMe is still up too. If you can donate, please do. If you cannot, that's fine. Share anyways, because sharing helps. Sharing is caring, friends. And I think that's all that I have for everybody. Thanks for watching. Steve, thanks for coming on. Sleepy Josh, thank you as always. You're the best. And we'll see you next week with Sky Daddy. Woo woo. So pumped.